This is September 8th, 1997. The survivor is Marton Tesler, interviewer Tony Catch-Binstock in Denver, Colorado, United States of America, and is being conducted in English. Today we're introducing the family at the beginning of tape 1 because the family was available. And Mr. Tesler, will you introduce your family to the camera?
Oh, to the camera, Paula Tesler. And this is my son, Beryl Tesler. This is my grandson, David Tesler. All three of them. So, all my family. Oh, besides this, I have another family in Newark, New Jersey, Lakewood. And he has 7 kids. And they're all pretty, especially the 2 older girls. They're first-class beauties. So that's all I can tell you about me.
Well, we'll show pictures of them at the end.
Yeah, okay.
But just wanted to ask Beryl, your son, what was it like growing up in a family where your father and mother were survivors?
It was really 2 phases. One phase is like raising your parents, because their English wasn't as good as other parents or other people who were native to the United States. So you had to interpret a lot of things. It seemed like that. It seemed like you were raising your parents. And then there really was no, until I got married, there was almost no mention at all about the Holocaust. No mention at all about the about experiences and about previous families. I had no idea my father was married before the war until I got married. Until actually I was getting ready to name my daughter before she was born, and he said he'd like to name it after, people, because he never had an opportunity to do that. So it was, there was always, everybody knew about the Holocaust, and we saw movies and went to events, but there was no conversation in the house, almost none. So, that's my experience. It's been different since, but growing up, there was almost no contact with that.
Does he talk to you now about it?
Sometimes, not a lot. Only when a baby's born or something happens, then he might be inclined to mention something. But all the things that you've accumulated here are pretty much new to me. I mean, I had no opportunity to learn about those things. So. But now I will.
Thank you. Mrs. Tesler, what has it been like for you to be married to a Holocaust survivor?
I don't know what to say.
She was happy to be married. She was very happy, the happiest person in the world.
When did you 2 meet?
Well, to tell you the truth, I went to Florida. I have a brother-in-law there. And he asked me if I want to marry, because I didn't want to marry anymore. I had already married plenty of them. And then he said, if you want to marry, I was still lonely, all by myself. I had a big home here in Hudson Street, the other next block, and I have to rent it. And I went to Florida, and he introduced me to a very nice lady. And when it comes to the end of the story, she says I wouldn't go to Denver because you have a beautiful home and so on and so on. So then I went in another hotel, and I met those little lady. And to tell you the truth, it was made in heaven, because when she came the first night, they used to come with a group with 100 people. And that time they come together, and I saw her, and I somehow liked her right away. Or she had a boyfriend or somebody who said, "Oh, look, come to bed." I thought maybe it's his husband or whoever. And I said, "No, I'm not going to touch nobody," and so and so. So that was just last night. The morning I went out a little bit looking for business since I'm here. I come home and I said, a friend of mine, who his wife passed away a couple of weeks ago only, I'm not mentioning names, and I said, "What are you doing here?" She says, "I'm looking for a wife, and I find already one, and or she wouldn't go with me to Denver for no money. He says, it's a very nice lady. You ask her, maybe for your sake she'll go. He introduced me. And I walked with her about 2 blocks maybe. I told her my story. And then I said, will you go to Denver? She says, why not? With a man you go all over. And then...
I don't want to go with him. So,
And then I took her out because they had the hotels where we stayed, they give a bonus for the commerce, especially for those bigger groups. They took her around town, and I asked her guide, can I go with you? She says, no, we are filled up with 100 people. And I said, well, you know something, let's go together. And I took her out in Florida to the fishes, and boy, you should see 2 girls come along and says, I see you are in love. Can we take a picture? Still have the picture. That was her.
What year was that?
That was in 1978.
78. Okay.
78, yes, 1978. It was, to be honestly, in December. In December, around 20th of December or something like it. Because the 24th was raining, remember?
who remember rain?
I remember it was
24
raining,
years.
and I had to pay for we took it in Riverdale to the wedding, and it was a little occasion, but it was very nice. And then, look at that, here she is.
I am 20 years married.
20 years, thanks. Almost 20, it's not exactly. December will be 20.
And I want to ask David, who's the grandson, what did you know about your grandfather's experiences?
He didn't tell me very much because he was really tell me because one thing I'm half hearing, and it's pretty hard to understand my grandfather. So I pretty much know my grandfather buried from up here.
Did you ever ask about his number on his arm?
Pardon me?
His number on his arm, did you ever wonder?
He told me about it.
He told about it.
As further assumed it was, sure that something that you wanted to have. People later, I realized that I was from the Auschwitz program that kind of was put on him because he was to be identified as a prisoner. My grandmother would not talk much about it, but I realized later it was very much a part of him. And I've told him before that he should be proud of what he has because it shows the world that he has survived the Holocaust.
That's nice.
Is there any message that you,
Very good, David. Okay.
any message that you want to say, Beryl, to your dad? Anything?
No, I think that my experience growing up certainly was tempered by his experiences living and surviving, and as well as that of my mother, who was a survivor of Bergen-Belsen. That's where I was born after the war.
They've been nine kids, and only 2 survived, and all that one sister, two girls, and one sister passed away.
You remember everything.
Well, I
Yes,
remember.
well, it's
What
good
do you mean
memory.
remember? Of
But
course I remember.
My father's a great storyteller, and I'm sure that the stuff that he told me growing up, again, was tempered by what his experiences were, and both before and after the war, and during the war. So I mean, I have no regrets and I have no complaints. I mean, other than the fact that it took a long time to find out things, and some things are still hidden or not spoken. I think my experiences growing up was lovely. I mean, I had a happy childhood. I think I'm well adjusted and not paranoid or obsessed by any of these
He
events.
was the prettiest baby when we come to the United States. With little locks,
We're going to
Yeah,
show
he also
those.
the
Yeah, we're going to show those pictures later.
Oh,
But I
boy.
thank all of you, and we are going to do the interview then soon, and you'll tell the rest of your story for your
Yeah,
family.
it's okay. Yes, he
Thank
was,
you.
oh boy.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, it's okay.
My name is Toni Catch-Binstock, and it's September 8th, 1997, and today I'm honored to be interviewing Marton Tesler in Denver, Colorado, United States of America, and the interview will be conducted in English. Would you give me your name and the spelling of your name?
Well, the name is Marton Tesler. 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 Marton. Marton Tesler.
Was your name the same at birth?
Yes,
Were you known by any other names?
yes.
Tell me those.
Well, I was an only child, and that was Romania, and I was supposed to go to to be a soldier, to.
You tell me your name, what name at birth you used.
The same thing,
Oh,
Martin,
okay.
Mordechai. Well, that's Yiddish, you know what I mean, if you
Right.
want it. They call me many names, child. Mordzi, that there is, it's a different country, they have different names. Anyway, the main name was Martin here in the United States. And
Your Yiddish name was
Yiddish name was Mordechai.
Was the spelling the same in Europe as it is here, your last name?
Yes, Tesler.
Oh, it was different.
Just with a Z. I took out the Z because it was Zeller. That's all the Teslers you see here around. They're all the same spelling if they come from Romania, because in Hungary, the S himself is an S, or if you want to make it an S, you have to be SZ. That means SZ, Tesler. Okay,
And what is your birth date?
my birthday is 1908, 1908, August 17.
Your age today?
Well, it's 90.
And tell me the city where you were born and the spelling of it, if you can.
Well, the city where I was born was Aknaslatina, and the spelling that you have to do it yourself. And it was, today is Czechoslovakia. It was Hungary the time when I was born.
Did you grow up there?
No. After I was very young, I don't know, maybe a year or two, we moved over. It was during the war, the First World War, Revolution.
And you moved to where then?
To Satmar. Satmar is Satmar. That's the capital of Transylvania. It was Hungary that time. And then later on, when the League of Nations come along, they divided Hungary in many pieces, and our city became Romanian. And since then it was Romania till 1939, I think. And 1939, they made it called the Wiener Vergleich. It means it was Hitler made how should I say, a division, because Hungary always asked to give him back, because it was taken by Hungary for 20 years. After 20 years, Hungary said, give me back he says, come and get it. So they've been strong enough not to let him do it. So, or he goes with Hitler, Hungary was going with Hitler. So Hitler went to Vienna and they made their compromise. They give him back half of it. Certain places, the other half stays still remain. Matter of fact, today even, or then later on when Russia come along, he liberated Romania, or whatever you call it, and he said, I'm against Hitler's compromise, and everything stays like it was before. Romania is Romanian, Hungary is just as small as before.
Let's go back. I want to talk a little bit about your early childhood, and tell me about the community in which you lived in Satmar.
Well, the community is, I grew up in a non-Jewish community. How should I say it? It wasn't too many Jews in my neighborhood. Or later on, when I grew up a little bit, it has to go in school in Cheder. We moved over in a little closer to downtown. And there where I grew up, and that's all there is to it.
When you grew up in the non-Jewish community, tell me, did you live in a home or in an apartment?
No. We had an apartment, always an apartment. We didn't have our own home that time. No, we lived in an apartment.
And what language was spoken at home?
Yiddish, mostly Yiddish. More Yiddish and Hungary. You know, but I mean, it was the, how should I say, it was the language when the government, I would say, Hungary. Even it was Romania, during the Romania, I was in school, it was Hungary and Romania, or still the language was still Hungary, even today, because everybody speaks Hungary. Matter of fact, in 39, Hitler come along and with his laws, and Romania, I know it was many anti-Semitic people around. They made laws, for example, if you have a Jewish store, you have to hire, or you can speak Romanian, otherwise you have to hire some people, you know, who speak to you so you can understand. So they have to hire somebody if you like it or not, if you need it or not.
Okay, I want to talk about that later, but let me talk about your early childhood. So when you moved into the city, you also, where did you live in the city? In an apartment or in a house?
In an apartment. We didn't have a house. My father passed away I was very young, and I
How
don't
old
remember
were you?
exactly. I don't know. It must be 12 or 13 years. So very young. I don't remember exactly.
What do you remember about your father?
Yeah, not too much.
Do you have any early memories?
No, not too much. Not much. Matter of fact, he was in Germany, and he really had business. He did business. And matter of fact, he collected clothing, and he used to send home bales of clothing, big bales. And for the big bales, we opened it, and it was business. You know, in Romania, clothing was very expensive. To buy a suit, you have to work at least almost a year for a new suit, a good one. And he sent home those suits from Germany. They, like here in the United States, somebody had a suit, he used it 2-3 times and give it away, you know, or sell it or whatever. And he sent them all those things, and that's all I remember, you know what I mean? And then we had people who have a little, like, he had a market for it, you know, special, and they sold it, and it was a good business.
So did he travel then?
He was in Germany,
In
yes, and he
Germany.
was in last time when he was in Prague, the capital in Czechoslovakia, and he passed away there.
Do you
was
know
sick.
what he died from?
No, I don't know. Don't ask me, because, like I said, I was the only child, and I didn't know too much about the whole family. Matter of fact, we had relatives. He had a sister. She was lived in, they called it a Siget, like here, Siget. And her husband died in the First World War. So she was a widow, and she stayed a widow all her life. Then we had another sister, and his, they call it, it was Czechoslovakia. There they had a big business, or we didn't have no connections too much. I don't know why, I couldn't tell you. Because
Your father's family you're talking about?
he wasn't around to talk about it. You know what I mean? The only
You're
time,
describing his family then?
yes, that's his family. The only time that I know is when I growed up a little bit, and my mother tell me, you have a mimador, you know, you have an aunt and this, I start writing letters to them, and we become a little bit, not too much closer. The only time we went closer is when during the troubled times. Then they come, made business, they come to Stur. I have a nice home, you know, and they've been my guests, you know what I mean? And then later on, the same thing, I went to Budapest. And I was there, and they come to me there. I had a home there too. And they come to me and visit me, and so on and so on. Or that's all. And I didn't, matter of fact, they still have grandchildren in Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio. They are all of them very, very good up. Well, not all of them, I would say. 3 sisters. One of them she's a millionaire. They're all, 2 of them millionaires. The third one is a widow.
Do you know their names?
Yes. One of them is, the oldest one is Chaya Sura, Yiddish names, you know, we don't. And the
last
other one
name?
is Chaya Sura Gelberman. Wait a minute. Well, let's call it Gelberman. And the other one is Windel. And same thing. And the third one lives in New York, and she's a widow. Matter of fact, we still didn't have too much connections because when she became a widow, they want me to marry her, you know. And I don't know how to say it. I brought her over here to Denver, and then the kids were little, Maureen and nicht Maureen, Rivka, you know, and Shana, and they disliked her. So, and besides this, I had two houses, one of them in Jasmine and one of them in Hudson, and they just wanted me to. She had 4 kids, very nice kids. They had doctors, lawyers, and she had a little boy who was 12 years old, to give him right away of his name one of my houses. She says, "What the matter? You want to pay you to marry me?" And that was the end of the story.
Okay,
And
well,
since then,
let's tell about your story then. Let's go back to your story. I'm going to go back to Satmar.
Okay, sure.
Okay?
Yeah, but-
Satmar, where did you go to school?
well, in Satmar, I couldn't see Lyceum Jimenez. It was a Romanian school, you know. And besides this, and there, we mostly go in the Yiddish school, you know what I mean? The Yiddish Cheder. And there you learn English and everything. So I went to the Cheder. It was, they call it a Talmud Torah. It was a school. It was a big yard, let's see, like this block. And there were about 10 kind of schools, from grade 1 till college, you know what I mean? And there, everybody went there in the school. That was the main school, and it wasn't like here. I walked like 3 miles to school. You know what I mean? And it was walking. And in the morning there, it was a different life. I had to get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock to go to be in 7 o'clock in school. You know what? It wasn't a bus or something to take me. I had to walk myself, and I did it. Everything, that's the way you grow up there.
Could you have gone to a public school, or did it cost?
You know, I have to go.
You had to go to
It was, if not, cost 300 lei. It means like $300, you know,
if you didn't go.
if I didn't go. Yes, it was a miss to go, you know what I mean? It wasn't just you want to go. They have to. Matter of fact, it's a longer story. My parents were very religious, and they wouldn't like me to go in school. Or they had to. I had to go. You know what I mean? If I wanted or not, I had to go. I sent till 3 o'clock, and 3 o'clock went back to Cheder, you know, and stayed there till 8 o'clock. It was a different life like here.
You said your parents were very religious. Were they Hasidic?
Well, you may call it this way. Yes.
And so growing up there, was there a particular rabbi, the Rebbe that you went to?
No, because grade 1 was one rabbi, grade 2 is another rabbi, and so and so. And it was, you know, in the line, this rabbi next to the next year to the other. And many times I went to a private school too. My mother, you know, she was in business. In fact, we lived in a non-Jewish neighborhood, and she made business with the neighbors. The neighbors was mostly farmers. You know, at that time, and I'm talking about, we lived in a place where people come in from the little towns and brought merchandise, and she used to buy all those things. She made good business, you know. And I used to go in a private school too, sometime, you know what I mean? Especially, matter of fact, I went to one school where I stayed there almost all year, and they feed me, you know, the school was in house, like, you know, and the rabbi got paid enough so to keep me with food, with everything.
Do you remember the name of the school?
It wasn't a school you call it. It was a cheder, you know what I mean? So from there you go to school, and that's the story.
Tell me your father's name. You had mentioned him. What was his name?
Shimon.
Shimon.
That's one name.
And your mother's name?
Is Rivka. Rivka, matter of fact, she was sick. They called her Alta Rivka. You know, they give a name, it's Alta Rivka.
And what was her name before she was married?
Edelstein. And that's what I come along, if you remember I told you about Edelstein, when I was older, you know, and I was supposed to go in the army, I was, they call it in Hungarian, családfenntartód. It means you are supporting your family. See, I was 17, 18 years old. They said, you're supporting your family, so I didn't have to go to be a soldier. Or Edelstein was my mother's name. And Edelstein has many spellings. E, A, O, it's a little spelling. So I had trouble with my spelling, and it was trouble, and I had to go to be a soldier. And I was but a few months in the army. And it took 3 months to fix up the A and O, you know what I mean? Edelstein or Edelstein, we didn't know spelling, like here, spelling. There we didn't know spelling. And with Edelstein, that's all I know. I didn't know how to, any others. I mean, I spelled it with an E, and it was Edelstein or Edelstein, and the spelling. So it took him 3 months. After 3 months, I was liberated. You see, because I was, like I said, the head of the household. So my mother was a widow. You understand?
Right.
That was, the problem was this. I was an only child, and I don't have to tell you. She was my mother's also man. She was very, very pretty. She was one of those very nice ladies. And they had every day Shatchunim, the matchmakers. But she don't want it. Says, I have one son. Till he doesn't get married, I wouldn't get married either. You understand? So I was already, like I said, 17 or 18 years. And then she find me a wife. Very nice lady, yes. And I had 4 kids.
She found you the wife.
Yes.
Well, okay, I want to go back again a little bit about your growing up in the non-Jewish neighborhood.
Yes.
Did you ever experience any anti-Semitism?
Yes.
Tell
many
about
of-
that.
Well, to tell a bit, I was an only guy there in those neighborhood. I mean, Jewish guy who really was Jewish, because across the street was another guy. They had a store. It was open on Saturday, so I was the religious guy. We had there people. I don't know how to call it in Hungary. They call it timar, who made skins. Skin. How do you call it? They make skins.
Hides?
Hides, yes. Hide. How do you call it of English? How do you call it? They make, take a hide and soak it and so on and make hides. You know what I mean? Fix it
Leather?
up. Leather, yes. Leather and other things, whatever it comes to hides. And they had people, the people in Europe, they had people who wanted to learn a trade. You understand? So a guy like this has 3-4 people who work for him, the big guys, I was a little guy according to them. And they start to push me around, Or I had a system. I was a very wild child. I had a needle and somebody, I couldn't find them. They've been too big. And a needle in the back. They run away. Then they've been afraid to come close to me, because I have always a needle, Some they bother me, put a needle in their back. Everybody started running.
I think we're going to stop this tape now and we'll start on the next one.
All right. Okay.
September 8th, 1997. This is tape 2. The survivor is Marton Tesler. Interviewer Tony Katch-Binstock in Denver, Colorado, United States of America, and is being conducted in English. At the end of the last tape, you were telling me about the needle that you used and
Yes.
any other anti-Semitic stuff that happened to you?
Not direct, no. I couldn't tell you direct, because the neighbors were very good. I'll tell you why. They all of them made business with my mother.
What was her business, by the way?
Like everything, she bought every merchandise, but it was fruit, not fruit, I mean, dry goods, you know what I mean? Dry fruit or something, it bought it up. And matter of fact, she made a little, how should I say it, cigarette business, or how do you call it? It wasn't legal. That wasn't so legal. Matter of fact, like I said, we have a neighbor. It was a police chief, you know, and her mother, matter of fact, her mother had problems. And we had a daughter, got married, a neighbor. And the neighbor, one day, he had about 3 kids, and then said he wanted to go to Australia. He went to, and whatever they said, it didn't help. He went to Australia, and the mother, his wife, got stuck with the 3 kids, and nothing, no help. So she went to, like I said at that time, to card work, they, you know, and others, all kind of, to the, I say, to the bishops and the, you know, everything to help her. Nobody could help her. Or we had a rabbi neighbor, and it was a little in the family. And my mother was religious, even she was very famous, you know what I mean? And she said to her, she come to my mother, she says, Mrs. Tesler, what should I do? And what should I? She says, why didn't you go to the rabbi? She was non-Jewish. She said to the rabbi, says, yes, he'll help you. And well, finally she went, come to the rabbi, and the rabbi wouldn't see women, you know, it was too religious. Or they have to make a little, they had a special, they call it the gabbai, you know, and he made a little settle, and the rabbi read it, and went to the rabbi. In fact, they wasn't poor, he wanted a better family. They gave the rabbi $100, like, you know, they used to pay for it. And good, when mom, or she wasn't even go to the rabbi, my mother, and then she come out and says, what the rabbi says? She said, the rabbi said he'll be back. Because he tried, it was a few years, he tried everybody, you know, whatever, I don't know how to mention it, and nothing helps. And then she goes, the rabbi said he'll come back. And that's true, you know, this, are you sure? She says, yeah. The rabbi said, my mother was a very believer. She says, yes. 3 weeks later he got sick then, and says if he didn't go home right away, he can die. And 3 weeks later he was home. You know, it's such a thing, and they honored her because of this. In fact, the rabbi used to eat only eggs, very little, and fresh eggs from today, not yesterday's. And we had a big home, and it was all kind of chickens and goose and everything. We used to have those fresh eggs. They come to me. Or it was time when the chickens didn't lay the eggs. We have to go to the neighbors. Or for the rabbi. Right away. Everybody come along.
Which rabbi was that?
The Big Sada Rabbi, they call him. Big Sada Rabbi, you know. It was a little town, it calls Miksad. Matter of fact, they had very good kids. Had a son 16 years. It was my best friend. He was 16 years when we became rabbi in Big Sada, and it was a little city. And he became that rabbi, 16 years.
His name?
His name was Chaim Moshe. Well, he was a very nice guy, or wilder than me. Or he had something, but I couldn't beat him. He was so smart and had everything, you know, and his father was so nice to him and teach him, and he was a genius.
You said you were wild. What did you do that was wild?
Well, I don't know. I used to go out lately, you know, at night, and dogs, everybody had a dog, and I had a stick, and all the dogs, I did everything, been afraid of me. When they heard me coming, they jumped over the fence, so they wouldn't meet me. I was, what can I do? I was an only child. I have to be wild because otherwise, you know, and then I had those rabbi, I had a yeshiva, you know, a school, and the poorer kids, he used to have poorer kids, about 100 people. I used to take those kids, had a beautiful garden there, and I used to teach them and so on. And I have to be tough. Otherwise, I will never would survive those neighborhoods. Later on, we used to go to school in Cheder. I was a big storyteller, you know, I had all these kids. We didn't have like here, 3 o'clock. We stayed there till 8 o'clock. And we had a couple hours of free time, you know. Then all my ever tell me a story, tell a story. I had to take stories.
You said you helped your mother in the store, is that correct?
No,
Or
she didn't have a store.
Or what? Well, describe what that was. You
I
said,
really didn't help her too much. Or the name was as I help her. You understand? I went to school. I couldn't do everything, you know what I mean?
I see.
Or
So when
the name was, the name was, you are how should I say, the head of the household. You know what I mean? You work, and I worked. Besides this, I worked too. Matter of fact, what I did when I was a little older, I had problems. They've been very religious. I wanted a bicycle. They wouldn't buy me a bicycle. You understand? I wanted clothing, but I like. They wouldn't buy me. Just he'll grow in. He'll grow in. I says no. I want what I want. So I went to work. I sold ice cream. I made lots of money because, like I said, she used to work with those farmer people, and they liked me very much. Matter of fact, they have every 4 weeks they have a dance, a dance there, and I was called up to go out to those dances and bring ice cream. You understand?
The non-Jewish?
The non-Jewish. They liked me so much. I was a Jewish. I had prayers, I was very religious too, and they liked me the way I am. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, we didn't have a car then. We had a flat, and I put up 5 boxes of ice cream because we needed ice. It's a big story. I used to go there, and I made lots of money. I brought home, like in a night, $1,500 for ice cream.
Did you, with this cart, was it horse-drawn?
Horse-drawn, yes, and I had somebody who do it. And then one day, that guy who took me there, he said, should I go with him? I can do it myself. He put a car of ice cream vendor. They almost killed him. He says, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? This is not your place. And they chased him out. And he was a poor guy. And when I arrived, I hired somebody else. When I arrived, they said, look, he wants to sell ice cream here. What is he doing here? And then he come to me and begged me to help him out because the ice cream used to take from a poor lady. That's what's her business, and she made a little living there. And I don't want it to. I helped them out, and we sold it. But at 12 o'clock at night, it wasn't a lack of ice cream, I used to, this was cans with this one, and I come home with a can of money. It was very, very rewarding, it was a big business.
Did you get any other training? I mean, you said
Yes.
you worked. What other kind of training did you get?
Well,
For a trade, I mean, did you have any kind of trade?
No, I didn't. I made business. Later on, when I grew up, I started working as dentist,
Well, tell about that.
Well, that wasn't nothing to tell. Just I started working, and
For a dentist?
yes, and I meant to tell you something. In Romania, it wasn't like here. It was 2 kind of dentists. One dentist was doctor dentist, One of them was a dentist. He can make teeth and do everything, or not pulling teeth, you know what I mean? Not do fillings. We did this 2, or the most important was crowns, not like here. Parcels later on to come along. Or before it was mostly crowns, gold crowns, and so on, and fillings. You see, it was a little different like here.
So you learned how to...
Yes, how
which
to
one?
do it.
To do the...
I learned the whole thing. Or it was a different kind of working, you know what I mean? The Wilbur is okay, I worked at home. I didn't have an office there. Because I was too young. I was in the 20s.
Well, before you tell me about that, did you have a bar mitzvah?
Of course I had a bar mitzvah. My father wasn't at the bar mitzvah already.
So he was already gone.
I think he was going, yes.
Well, what else did you do in your young... What did you do for fun? Besides mess with the dogs?
All the kids played football, we played other games, whatever kids do, and that's all is to it. It wasn't such a great thing, that's all.
And then you said, what was it like for you as without your father around? Were there other boys like you that didn't have a father?
No, I was the only one.
What did you and your mother do together for fun? Or together, period?
Nothing to call it. We did it together. You know what I mean? I couldn't say nothing. I couldn't say. You know what I mean? She was always busy with this. You know what I mean? She was all alone, and that's all is to it.
You said she arranged your marriage. Was
Yes.
that before or after you were trained for the dentures?
Between. You know what I mean? Because let me tell you again, She was very pretty and very young. She was in the 40 maybe, 45, something like it. And they had like every day a matchmaker, and they offered her the best. Says, no, so long my son isn't married, and I'm not going to marry. So then she found somebody, and I got married, and she was so happy. She wanted me to live with her. And matter of fact, I married somebody from out of town, not in our city. And when I come in at night, we slept overnight, and 3 o'clock at night I have my own home. I don't want to, in
So your first wife's name was?
Brana Rivka. Brana Rivka, 2 names, Brana Rivka.
And then you became a dentist?
Yes. And
So that was
I made business to myself. Matter of fact, later on when I become, it wasn't easy, to push in. I tried many. Matter of fact, a little business with this, a little this, many things. It didn't work.
Did you go into the military before or after you were married?
After I got married.
After you.
Because I was, yes.
Tell about your military experience.
It wasn't, it's a long story. It's nothing to tell, and it's a long story. I come to the military, and we had about 10 Jewish people there. And I was always alone. You know what I mean? I couldn't make together with everybody. The 10 people, very people, because since I was done already, I worked as dentist. I went in the company Sasanatar. It was a doctor section, from the military, I mean, nurses and so on. It's Romanian, company Sasanatar means the sex company from the doctor, And most of the soldiers were doctors or lawyers, or you know what I mean. And we didn't deal with the greater people when you were a soldier. The bosses are a corporal or a sergeant. That's And then I had a corporal. My company had a corporal, a Romanian guy. He was a very nice guy, and whatever I had, poor guys, but they used to send me in home a little package with cookies, with this, and other things, goodies, and I used to divide it. You want a piece, like friends. I made friends, you know what I mean? It was very good. The other group was a very rough guy. He was a colored guy or whatever. And he was very rough, and they tried to bribe him. More they bribe him, it was worse. And I told them, why did you do it? And why do you do it? And they said, leave you alone. I said, no, I couldn't. And I didn't leave him alone, and I tried to make trouble. And I made trouble.
What kind of trouble?
Whatever I can, I made trouble. I couldn't explain it to you now. But the only thing is, the trouble was mostly with me, because I didn't eat nothing trifle. And they tried, their corporal or whatever he was, tried to pick on me, says, not me. And one day I hired a guy who bring me every day. He brought me food, you know what I mean? Lunch, kosher food. Or the sergeant himself was a very honest guy, a little guy like me. And we had a school every after lunch. And everything went to the second, you know what I mean? 12 o'clock lunch, 12:30 this. Or my people wasn't so nice, and he brought me later on a little bit, and when he came, it was already closed up. He says, I brought Marton food. Matter of fact, my name, that was Edelstein, not Marton. You understand? And the sergeant says, what do you mean? Our food is no good. And they start bugging me too. And one day they forced me to eat their food, you know what I mean? But at lunch, they give me a big plate and eat. And I don't want to eat, and he hit me. And I put out my head and cried. Okay, and then leave him alone. 4 weeks later, we got a letter from the ministerium. What's wrong with the company Shas and Tar? They didn't have good food. And they thought I did it. They come to me and said, why did you write to the... I said, I didn't. And more, I said, no, they didn't believe me. Or they treat me like I can do everything I wanted. Nobody would touch me, you see. You know what I mean? Because they have, it looks like they're spies in the company who watch people. So they sell the letter, what's the matter with the company? They have no good food. And they watch me and they let me do anything I want. I was the only one who can go in the canteen, buy whatever I want because I bought milk and so on. So, and then they had other ones, Romanian people, and it was Hungarian, they couldn't talk the language, and they start take a couple pennies from him. You know, it wasn't legal. And somehow they got to know everything, and they get together all those bunch, and they fired the corporal, they took away this bench and so on. I was afraid, but later I got liberated, because I tell you, I wasn't too long.
What do you mean liberated? From the army?
Because I told you I was the head of the household, you know, so they let me go home, and they couldn't do nothing. Because maybe I would stay longer, they'd give me trouble, or they couldn't do nothing, and I left, and I never saw it again. And then later on I went in the army again, in the Hungarian army there, you know. We used to be then, it wasn't soldiers already, we were just workers, you know what I mean. I've been in many times in the army, that's a different story. That was later on.
And which names did you use when you were...
Edelstein.
Edelstein.
Edelstein, and that's what I told you, I had trouble with a good
Right.
Mahung, you know, I said Tesler, and after the liberation I didn't know the Edelstein, I went back to my name. And they didn't find my name there. They find the number, or it's instead of Tesler, it's Edelstein. You see, and then this way, and I didn't know, they didn't ask me, I would tell them, you ask me, I tell you. They wouldn't ask me. So they start making one business, knock a letter, another letter, everything, money, he was money. He says, leave me alone. And I don't want anything, and thanks God helped me with that.
You're talking about after the war. Okay, let's go back before the war. So you said, did you have children, you and Bryna?
I had four children.
Can you give me their names?
Yes,
And
the first
and
one.
the names, or the years they were born, if you remember them.
Well, to tell you exactly, I don't know. Don't ask me for the times, because I think 35 would be the time when my first boy was Shimon, who was the oldest. He was 9 years already. You know, and then the other one is Yankel, and the third one was the third one was a boy. 3 boys. The Shmilaib, it's after my grandfather, and then the girl's name was Surasima. That's all. I had 4 kids.
4 children.
One of them passed away, and they made a ghetto.
Okay, before you tell about that, tell about what was, when you were married, did you know when your kids were born, like in the 30s, what was going on in Germany? Did you have any idea of what was going on in Germany at all?
No.
Did you have any refugees who ever came to your country?
No, not that time. Later on, that was, because till 39, it was quiet. You know, I was in the army.
Mm-hmm.
I was in the army, you know, and then I was liberated, and then they called me back, but 3-4 times. Finally, the last time when I was liberated, I come home and I found a Simon to go back. They didn't know already. It wasn't anymore a real order. You know what I mean? They sent for Weimar, whoever's name come along. They send you. So I took turned it up and went to Budapest. I stayed there 4 years in Budapest.
What years were those?
It's in the 40s, around 38, 39 in the 40s. I stayed there till the last, till 44.
And your whole family went with you then?
No, just myself. Or we did big business there in Budapest. I merchandise and sent it home and took others from there and we did it.
Like
One
your
day.
father had done, that kind of?
No, all kind of business, other things. Merchandise, how should I say? In Romania, clothing was very expensive, you know what I mean? So in Hungary, it was cheaper. So we sent, it was a different life. I couldn't explain this. It's 50, 60 years almost. So after that, till 1944, it looks like we made black business. You know, it wasn't, like you said, kosher. It was black business. In 1944, they surrounded the place where we used to make business, and they took it in a tolerance. It's in a, I don't know how to say it. It wasn't arrest, or they locked us up.
In Budapest? In Budapest?
In Budapest, yes. I was there 3 weeks, and after 3 weeks they sent me home to Satmar, because I had a liberation. Everything is kosher, you know, or we did business, you know. They didn't ask you what they do. What didn't they do? They just locked us up and sent it home. We don't want you here. And then I went home. It's 44. Since I have the kids, you know what I mean? I have, like I said, in those neighborhoods where I grew up, I had many friends, you know, non-Jewish people. Matter of fact, I had a guy, he became a priest. He became a priest and says, Marton, Marty they call me. Marty, I'll hide you, nobody will know. Fine. I said, I have 4 kids, what should I do? I says, I'm afraid so many. You understand? He
was willing to hide you?
Hide, yes. Or, yes, maybe 2, 3 people. I had 4 kids and wife. It's too much. And I said no, because when I was in the army. I was in the army, let's say, 2, 3 weeks after, because in the army they give you training, you know. After the training, I had a sergeant. I used to bribe him, you know, because he liked to play cards, and I give him money. And then asked for money. I says, I don't have any money. I have to go out and make it. He says, he gave me, he gave me, whatchamacallit, he made, how do you call it, a relief, you know, to relieve
Like
me.
a pass?
Yes, and I made a little lab, and I worked already, and then I had money, full pockets of money, and bribe him again, and that's the way it is. But I saw wherever I been, you know, I always made enough money to feed a little something, you know what I mean? And I thought maybe we'll go someplace, I'll work, you know what I mean, and I'll feed my family. Who was thinking of such a thing? Could have murderers, just plain murderers, you know. It took people. My wife was with the baby, you know. I had the girl 6 months old. She went straight and they killed him and put him in gas, and it's something, you know. I don't know how the word could stand it. Even today, how could they say hello? I couldn't understand it. And many of them, they said that's crazy. You know, matter of fact, we went in Germany, we went in like soldiers, you know, to work. And they said, look at the machine gun, the clothes, the crazy, this is the crazy people. You know, even crazy people, God, that's all. They, matter of fact, they shaved the women and everybody, and, you know, and they give you those strap clothing. And they went as crazy people.
Well, before they took you, tell me, when you went back in 44, when was Hungary invaded? When was
39. And Satmar.
When was Satmar invaded?
Satmar wasn't invaded. Satmar was the last, maybe a couple months after we left.
So what did you experience? When did the Germans come then? Or who came into Satmar that, you said something about ghetto earlier, and I said we talked
The
about
ghetto
that.
was made exactly a day after Pesach.
So spring.
Well, you may call it in April, approximately, because we left in June. The ghetto was only in Satmar about 3 months, that's all. And after, when Shvius, you know, in Pesach, the Shvius is 49 days. And Shvius, I was already in Auschwitz, or whatever you call it.
Okay, well, I was trying to get, did you, as you and your family, Did you have to wear a Jewish star at any time?
Well,
What was it like in Hungary?
no,
before you
nothing,
made
nothing,
the
nothing,
ghetto?
nothing, not in Satmar. Nothing. You see, they did it so in a hurry. Like you said, they didn't have time to do it. You know what I mean? It was, because in 39, but it was changed. You saw, it was Romania, right? And then in 39, they become Romania, and it was a different story. I mean Hungary. It becomes Hungary again.
What was it like then from 39 before you went to Budapest? Or what was it like during that, before you were taken? Tell me about life
Nothing,
then.
like I tell you, I was in Budapest till approximately, let's call it in June, July, April approximately, I was sent home. Before after, 4 weeks before April. And I come home to Satmar. Then they said they're going to make a ghetto. It wasn't a ghetto at all. My first,
Maybe we'll stop here and on this tape, and you'll tell me on the next tape about that.
okay,
Okay? This is tape 3, September 8th, 1997. The survivor is Marton Tesler, interviewer Tony Catch-Binstock in Denver, Colorado, United States of America, and the interview is being conducted in English. So before we ended the last tape, tell me a little bit about what happened to your country between when war started in 39 and when you went into the ghetto in 44.
well, in 39, before 39, Romania was, in that time, was a very nice country, to say it, because everything was cheap. You can buy, for example, in Romania, you can a geese 10, 12 kilo, not pounds, fat, for $1, you call it. It was milk, pennies, everything is cheap. In 39, when it become hungry, they start calling in to soldiers, you know what I mean, to not soldiers, I mean they call it munkaszolgálatos, it was working brigade. And we went there.
You were in the working brigade?
Yeah, the working brigade, there's not once, 2 and 3 times, 4 times. See, they called us for a certain time, they sent it home, certain times, and then we made monkey business too, to be honest with you. Sometimes, did I say like this, yeah, so I was liberated. That was in Hungary during the 39. And more or less I was there. Or by around April, May, they start saying they make a ghetto. And I couldn't tell you what it was really, because we've been in Romania. The only thing it was, they give orders, the remainder, first the remainder give orders, or in the Hungarian, they give you orders, so I couldn't remember everything, because like I said, I wasn't home 44 when I left. I was in Budapest. It was a free life, we made business because it wasn't a regular life already, you know what I mean? Many people come to Budapest because Budapest was like New York, a big city, you can't get lost there, And we made business, we bought merchandise, send it home, they send back merchandise, they sold it here, so we made good business. Or when I got home, and like I said, in June, or in April or June, something like it, it was already, I don't know, the Hungarian didn't act very nice. You understand? Or it looks like they know many things but we didn't know. They sent many people, I'll tell you a example. Many people was evacuated to Tuk. And they come to Satmar, they run away. You know,
They had run away from other countries?
not from other countries. From the group, you know, they have a group. They took him to, we don't know, to camps or whatever.
You didn't know what was going on?
No, nobody knows because they said, we had people, they said, everybody was afraid to talk. They talked, we couldn't believe it. They said they killed people, they did this. How can people just kill people, babies? We couldn't believe it. Because, you know, it was something never happened in life, you know what I mean? And Germany was supposed to be that time one of the great nations with all those knowledge and everything. And so, and then around April, June, May, they started talking, they make a ghetto. So they said to me, let's wait at least after Pesach. You know what was for Pesach? And Pesach come, and my Zeldy's father passed away exactly this last day. The last day, and they took him to the burial, you know, and then they closed up the ghetto. You understand? They closed up the ghetto, and since they took people from all over Romania, from Satmar wasn't Satmar, I mean the surrounding area. It was about 8,000 people there.
Was
And
it a closed ghetto? I mean, were they...
So Satmar was the ghetto. It was more cities than Satmar, you know what I mean? Or they brought in everybody from surrounding around, Jewish people from around the years. And my home, I had a nice brick home. It was enough for 5-6 people, you know, or they put in 25 people.
Did you know those people?
Now, how should I know them? They come from certain places, you know, from their surrounding area, from the little towns, from farms, from so on. I didn't know them. Or they put it in. Matter of fact, I wasn't home even. I was in the army. You know what I mean? I was a soldier, and when they made a ghetto.
You were away in the...
Yeah, I waited, yes, in
The work camps you
the
described?
work camp, yes. And I was there, and I come home, and I found one of my kids died, and because it was, let's see, I have a big home like this. Let me just say, it's good for a family of two or 5. They put in front of 25 people, and they didn't have like here a stove like gas or whatever. They used wood, you know, to feed, and everybody had to cook to do something. So, because this one, it still had food, you know, because everybody's picked up as much as you can. And we made places to hide things, you know, because we've been known already, we'll take it to a workplace. We didn't know. They said, yes, we had many rabbis come along from Poland, because in Poland was already, and they killed many people, come along, they stayed there, and they tell stories. Who can believe it? We didn't believe it. Says maybe they make up stories to believe it. You understand?
What kind of stories did they tell you?
They killed people. That was true. They took people out in the field and tell them to dig a grave or whatever, and they shot them and put them in the grave.
And you didn't believe the rabbis then?
The rabbis, it wasn't. They didn't look like rabbis because they shaved so. It was something, you know, you couldn't believe. So that's the whole story, but I can tell you about it.
Let me ask you some more questions.
Yes.
So you started to say about your son,
Yes.
that you said they were cooking in the house. Finish telling about that.
Yes, it was so much smoke. You know, we had we had only one stove, maybe, I don't remember. And they made, everybody cooked and made fires, and he was, how should I, been smoke inhaling. He passed away. He was a kid, he was 2 years old. Yes, that was my third boy.
And you came home after these people were in your home then, you said?
Yes, when I come home, I had already the people there.
So kind of describe for me, all these people were there, how did you get food?
Well, in the beginning, we had enough food. It was so much food.
Everybody...
They didn't keep it too long in the ghetto. Like I said, they opened Pesach right after Pesach. And Schwiez, you know, I was already in Auschwitz.
Were you able to work during that time?
Of course.
Or did you have to stay? Were you
I
in
don't
your
know.
house?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know exactly. I remember I didn't have a big time. I was the boss for the house, you know what I mean? I had a little more privilege maybe than somebody else. Or I couldn't tell. Food was enough at the beginning. But it was only a couple months, you know, and that's all it's to it. And after a couple months, they took you right away to Auschwitz, and that's all.
Well, so was your son were you able to give him a burial? Your son who died?
Looks like. I don't know. I
Oh,
don't
you
know.
weren't there then?
I wasn't there. I wasn't a soldier. I was in the army.
And then, where did the people sleep?
You wanted to know? I don't know. I don't know. On the ground and on the floor with a little straw or whatever. I couldn't remember. I don't remember, no. I don't remember everything.
When did you come home then? You
I
came home from the army to...
I come home, it looks like when they made up the ghetto, I didn't have a clear picture. I don't remember, really, I don't remember.
And so what were you told about why everybody was in the ghetto? Did they say that...
They didn't tell us nothing. They made a ghetto and they brought everybody in the surrounding area, they put in there, and that's all. It wasn't my house, it was a ghetto like this block. They put a high fence, a very high fence like 10 feet high or 8 feet high, and we were surrounded and that's all.
What kind of fence was it?
A wooden fence.
Was there barbed wire, or could you...
No, it wasn't good.
Could anybody get over it?
No,
Who guarded you?
soldiers.
Hungarian or German?
Hungarian, it was Hungarian, the whole thing was Hungarian.
Where was your mother at that time?
That time she was with her husband, but she was far away. She was about 150 kilometers away.
Explain that. She was not married when you were married.
No, she had not too long, maybe a few months later.
And who did she marry?
Like I told you, Mendelbeer Herschlik. His place where he lived was same thing. It was Hungary that time. At Massiv, they call it Massiv. It was a little town.
So she wasn't in the ghetto with you then, your
No,
mother?
no, she was in another
When
ghetto.
was the last time you saw your mother?
Before the ghetto, that's what I would say, before the ghetto. I used to go there once in a while, you know, because her husband had kids. They were in a very rich home, you know, they had a yard as big, there's like those black almost. You know, they have everything there. Matter of fact, she used to make me, you know, in Satmar, it was geese. They stopped, you know what I mean, stopped geese, very fat. And that wasn't such a highly kosher. So she used to have geese, but 30 geese every year. And then they kill them and they put the meat, they have a smokehouse, and they made, how should I say, schmaltz, you know,
Fat.
and the fats, and they brought it over to me and meat, and I had a whole year, you know, because they had very rich home, you know what I mean, and they had many, I don't know how, because I wasn't there, you know what I mean, it was, like I said, 150 kilometers, it was a little smaller town, and I used to go there, or they feeding cattle, and they had lambs, and a few hundred or thousand, I don't know. They used to make those cases, they really ship, how do I call it? Anyway, she roast the bread for the rabbis there, some butter and cheese and so on, you know.
Well, so you used to go visit her.
Yes,
and then
yes, whenever it was a party.
When was the last time that you think you saw her?
Maybe in April.
Of 44.
44, yes, I'll tell you when I come home, because I was in Budapest, you know, I couldn't see her at that time. Yes, or
You saw her before you went home?
before I went, yes, because when I was liberated from the army, I went home and I got a subpoena to come back, and I turned it up. I went to my mother for a couple of weeks, stayed there with the family, you know,
Did you suspect at any time that anything was happening?
The thing was, we go in a camp and there we'll stay. You know what I mean? With
That's
no,
what you thought.
no killing business. You know what I mean? Who was talking? You take a little baby, put throw it on the floor and step on him and kill it. Who can't think something like this? You understand? Mothers weren't coming with kids. They said, give away your kids. If a mother give away her kid, she wouldn't give away. She went to die same day with the kid together. You couldn't. They did things, but the world never see something like it.
So when you saw when you left your mother's, you had no idea what was
No,
going
I
on.
didn't have this. Later on, we had people from the same place. You know, I met after the revelation. I says, we left the third and so. You know what I mean? And that's what I have on your side, you know, to cope with Memorial Day. That's all.
You found out after the war
After
what
the war,
happened?
well, yes. But we didn't know nothing. We locked us up there in those Auschwitz and Birkenau, and that's all is to it.
So you thought when you were in the ghetto then for about a few weeks, you said.
Yes,
And then
not
what
long.
happened?
Nothing. It was one day we said, okay, pick up. Everybody made bread, you know, we made dry bread and salami and to take along with you. So we
Oh,
come.
you knew you were going?
Yes, we have to. With all this, well, yes, you have
What
to.
did they tell you were going to do?
They didn't tell us nothing. They come, you know, those Hungarian soldiers and whoever was around, police. They come around, give me your watch. You don't need it. Give me this. Give me this. They scam you. You know, I said you wouldn't need it. We didn't know. Maybe they know it, but we didn't know nothing. They
They
wouldn't
took
tell.
your watch?
They
and-
took away. I didn't took. I hide it my watch. But it's a different story. Or the clock, whatever. You know, they try to get whatever they can. You know what I mean? They rob you. Put it this way.
With a gun, or did they
Matter of
just
fact,
take
they're not with a gun. They said you have to give away everything. You know what I mean? If not, we'll do this and this and this. You know, you get punished. Or, you know what I mean?
What did they threaten you with?
Well, I couldn't tell you exactly. Or they said they threatened people. You know, to give it away and you need this, you don't need this. You know what I mean? We
Did
didn't.
the Hungarian soldiers ever punish or hurt anybody in the ghetto?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you that because I didn't have no connections with those because, like I said, it was my home where the ghetto was in. More or less, I was still a little bit, you know what I mean, the boss, and food was enough, and so on. I don't know. I couldn't tell you this one, but it's if I could, I don't remember.
Then you finished telling them about when they came and told you that to pack up.
Yes, pack up, and everybody was ready. Matter of fact, I never. My second boy, Yankel, was 6 and a half, 7 years. He made a little rucksack, you know, and I wanted to help him. Daddy, I can carry it, you know. It was a mental. Know where they going. We didn't know. And then we come there, they right away take off your coat and everything, all they left you your shoes. And
Wait, before you
sleep.
did, they came and you could take some belongings with you?
We took everything, they took everything away.
And
As
what
soon
did
we
you do-
arrived,
Wait, how did you get to,
Auschwitz,
yeah.
in a kettle,
When you left the ghetto,
Yes.
where did they take you? Did you all go together, all the people in your house go together? Down to a train station, or where were you taken?
to Birkenau.
But how, you were in Satmar, and then they round you up, is that what happened?
Yes, and
they took you to
yes,
the train?
to the train, yes, and the train we go in and put in the
Explain.
train 40, 50 people.
Okay, explain,
We
I was
didn't
going to say,
have-
explain about that.
What can I explain about 50 people in a train where you can fight dead people? You know, when you couldn't go to the toilet, we didn't have the toilet, they didn't have no water. Matter of fact, sometimes people been bringing a bucket of water and everybody get a sip. You understand? 5 days, we went 5 days till we get there.
Did you get any food?
Nothing. We took along, but but it was so packed, we couldn't move around almost. We wouldn't like put together like herring in a jar.
Did you see any townspeople? Did any of the townspeople see you on the train?
Yes. Many
Did they
people
try
come
to
around.
help?
Well, some people, but we couldn't help because it was closed. We couldn't open it. It was almost no air. You know, many people died and way to the. They took even the real sick people. You know, they took him to stretcher and took him in.
Were you
No mercy, with no nothing. You know, with no feelings for humans.
were they Hungarians or were they Germans who put you on the
The
transport?
Hungarians. They've been. The Germans were the bosses. You know what I mean?
But did you see did you see the stormtroopers?
No,
Gestapo, nothing like
we
that?
didn't see that. They didn't. They just give orders. You know what I mean? And they do. They take everything you had, but they can't take. They took everything. You know, those soldiers were poor guys. What they had, they can a watch, because you know, whatever they can scam you, they'll take it.
So, then on the transport, you said there was no air, there was no food. 5 days you were there, and did people die that you knew?
Well, many people died. Yes, we couldn't do nothing. They died.
How were you with your wife and children?
Yes,
So the 5 of you were together
yes,
in the train?
yes.
And how did the kids take this? How were the kids on the train?
I couldn't tell you. It's something. Like I said, we've been put together like chicken in a coop. You understand? You couldn't move around. You've been sitting. You couldn't stay up. You stay up. You couldn't sit down. You know what I mean? It wasn't like you said, a beautiful sit. No,
Did the children say anything? Were they frightened?
I couldn't tell you. I don't remember.
5 days, and then when the train stopped,
Yes.
was it night or day?
It was day.
Day.
Yes.
And what did you see?
Well, some people, you know, who we saw, what we see when the train arrived, we saw some couple with a big stick after women. And I said, what's the matter? We have crazy people here. An hour later, we come down. We shaved you up and give you those clothing. We've been crazy just like this.
So when you got, I want you to describe for me if you can.
Yes.
When you got off the train, were you with your wife and children?
No. We've been first, when we got off the train, we've been sitting outside waiting. I don't remember exactly what it wasn't. It was hard, like a hard day. And we had no water, no food, nothing. We took everything away. And, you know, people needed a drink, and somebody found a river and they brought up a little water and give everybody a sip. And then from there, when it got later at night, they took a dance and take off your clothes. They
What
took
happened to your was there a selection? Did you all go together into the camp?
No. This was a selection. You know, it was that mingle, if you heard about it. He said he divided. It was elder people he sent right away to get killed. The younger generation, they went to work.
How long did you stay sitting there before the selection?
What do you mean?
You came in the day.
Then we took it that was Birkenau.
This is at Birkenau.
That's Birkenau. Birkenau,
Was
they
your
didn't have it ready.
wife and children?
No. See, but they got another. It was right and left. You understand? It
Yeah,
was.
why don't you describe that?
It was women together with men, or then later on when it come to the selection, they took the right one. Let's see, to be killed right away, and the right and the left one went to workers because they needed workers for their ammunition and so on. You know that because the soldiers had been on the front. You know.
Were you with your wife when you went to?
No, and
the
just in train.
Just in the train.
Yeah, after when we went up.
Did you have a chance to say goodbye to her? Did you say anything to her?
Well, maybe I did, maybe not. I don't remember. I couldn't tell you. Because it was an occasion we never had something like it.
What happened? Right. So what happened?
It's standing like cattle and together and nothing. We don't know nothing. And there's nobody to ask, nobody tell you, nobody talk to. And that's all we saw.
And then what happened to her?
And it happened, they took it in on the side, they put them in, take off their clothing, they put them in a room, they let out gas, and they killed them right away, and that's all.
How did you know that happened?
Well, later on, they told me.
So So then tell
It
about...
was a wire, it was everything wired up, you know, those electric wire, so you couldn't go even close to the wire. If just in case you want to get killed, many people went and they got killed. So that's the whole story.
So tell now about Birkenau. You started to say, describe what the registration was like, and you said they shaved you and they gave you clothes. Tell about that. What did they do to you?
Well, they come in, shaved everybody, and at night, the first night, we standing like cattle. We got naked, nothing on, naked, totally naked. Maybe we had the shoes on, and because it wasn't ready, so they had beds, you know, and we standing in the beds, this breed, people to people, you know, to keep warm. It was cold at night, and all night. This other night was already beds or nothing in the bed, just plain wood, you know, and she slept there in those. And then they took it out, and we had to get up in the morning, 4 or 5 o'clock, and they stayed in the lines to count them if nobody is missing. Stay there, and then they start feeding us. They give everybody a quart of some soup. What they have, they made soups but we brought bread and, you know, dry bread. So they mixed up bread and whatever we had, and made a soup of it, and everybody get a quart of soup. Some people didn't eat it because it was Hungarian people. You know, how would I say? Graded people. How should like people who worked in high places, like in the stadium and so on. They said I wouldn't eat their junk, and they died right away. Many of them died. A few days they didn't eat. They died, passed away. They had to work or whatever, and they passed away. Or it was that rabbi says people eat whatever it is because we didn't talk about kosher, you know, and whatever it is, you have to eat it. So eat, when somebody who eat survived. You know what I mean? Or later on, many people were there from Poland, been there years. They survived. Some people survived.
Were there any rabbis with you?
It was there, yes. Or you don't know a rabbi there. Everybody was shaved, you know what I mean? They shaved you from top to bottom, you know, and nothing left.
Were you with anybody you did know?
No. I know later on, or no but name. It was no name, not number. They didn't call you the name, just called your number.
Did you get that number at Birkenau?
Yes, next day they take everybody and they do it.
In Birkenau, or?
In Birkenau, yes, in Birkenau.
Would you show us your number? Would you hold your number up so the camera
Yes,
can get your
yeah.
number, please?
Yes, they do it everybody, and that's all.
Did you do any work there at Birkenau?
No, in Birkenau we didn't do any work.
How long were you at Birkenau?
Not long, but 3-4 days.
And then where did you
We
go?
walked over to Auschwitz.
How far was that?
Well, maybe a couple kilometers, not too much.
And then-
Because we walked. We walked in the street, you know, like soldiers, you know, in groups.
Did the townspeople see you?
Yes.
Did they say anything to you?
They couldn't say, you know, they said that's crazy people. You know, we had already those striped clothes, you know, and they spray it. We couldn't have any connections with all outside world.
So when you got to, well, we're going to end this tape now. We'll start again at Auschwitz on
All
the
right,
next
all
tape.
right.
This is tape 4, September 8th, 1997. The survivor is Marton Tesler. Interviewer Tony Katch-Binstock in Denver, Colorado, United States of America, and is being conducted in English. At the end of the last tape, you were starting to tell about you walked to Auschwitz.
Yes.
What time of year was this?
I told you again and again the year. Wait a minute, let me think about it. The year, I don't know. year.
I think you said 1944.
Wait. You are right. Yes, 44. Yes.
Was
In
it-
June or July, when Swiss, exactly arrived in Swiss. I didn't know the date in English then. We didn't have calendars back here. Everybody had 3-4 calendars. So anyway, that was that. From Birkenau, we went to Auschwitz. You want to know this?
Tell me about.
In Auschwitz, you see, it was another story. Matter of fact, when we arrived in Birkenau, the people who took us down, it was Jewish people, they've been the same thing, They've been there longer. And they said, boys, don't say you are a doctor or you are a businessman or so on and so on. Say you are a worker. So when we come to Auschwitz was like a soldiers' caserme. Made for soldiers, you know what I mean? Beautiful apartments there. We put us in those apartments. You get us a bed and everything.
A barrack?
Yes.
Do you remember the barrack number?
No. I didn't look for Derek that much. Anyway, or we did nothing. We did 3-4 days. We just had to get up and wash and clean up and give us a quarter of soup and with a piece of bread. And that was for 24 hours. Then people just running around there like we said, like nothing. Then suddenly I saw a group standing in a line. Well, we've been there a couple thousand people, I don't know exactly how many. And I says, what is here? He says, nobody knows. He says, they tell me they're looking for something. So I stayed in the line too. Finally, when I come there, they're looking for electricians. So I'm electrician. So we didn't have electric in our city so much. I had a little bulb as dentist, but I had already a 25 bulb. That was big shots. Anyway, come there, and they start asking me questions. To be honest with you, I goofed the first time because they asked me something. I said, no, I didn't have any idea. So it's no good. He says, oh boy, it must be a good thing. I went back and stand in the line again. And when they come in and what they asked me, they didn't have there to prove it because they just ask you, this and this. Yes, everything. I passed.
What did they ask you? Do you remember?
If you know this one, how to make a light and a switch. You want me to tell you, it's about 50 years ago? I don't remember. And so after that, they picked up, 1,000 people, electricians, from those group. And they put us in a corner. It was a big place there, and they put us in a corner there to wait. In this corner we stayed for 12 days, 10 or 12 days. We give us food, and stayed under the sun, we were separated from the rest of the groups, you know what I mean, electricians. We didn't know why, where was. After 12 days, big trucks come along. They took us away to Jaworzno. Jaworzno was in Poland, 60 kilometers away from there, because this was in Krakow, in Auschwitz, I mean. It was in Poland. Took us to Jaworzno. Jaworzno was in a forest, inside the forest, deep inside the forest, no connections with the world outside. And there, they didn't have ready everything. It wasn't ready. We needed places to work places, other things. It wasn't ready. So we stayed there about 3 weeks. They took us out to a little river, It wasn't big, maybe 2 meters. And they said, we have to pick the stones from this side of the river to the other side. We worked all day, and they said, work hard because we need the white stones, make sure the white stones. So we worked all day today. Tomorrow says, no, we made a mistake, we need it on this side. So about a week, we took the stones from this side. And then they had some food put together, and we had to take it from one side of the, and they hit people and pushed them out. Hurry. and we have to set it up perfect. It was finished. Next day they says, no, it's supposed to be there. So I had to take those. It was heavy boots, you know. Two people have to, you know what they put in a trains, under the train, you know. It was soaked in those. It was very heavy. Two people have to carry it at least, and they pushed people. Matter of fact, one guy was there. They wanted his shoes and wanted to give him. They pushed him so hard he fell down, and it looks like he died. Yeah, those couples, you know, those couples been, I don't know, did they really been so bad like they acted, or the nature made them bad, whatever. So we worked but through 3 weeks like this, doing nothing, you know what I mean. Finally, the last day, we had those things left on the floor. He says, leave it, not somebody else to do it. And they brought us in. It was already a place we had to work. We went into work to put up the electrician and so on and so on. But I didn't know nothing. Because, like it says, I know we had electricity, you know, they had a little security there, and sometimes it was a little wire inside. I can't put it in. That's all I know about electricity. So I tried to do my best. Then I learned a little bit, and I stayed there about 2-3 weeks. After 2 weeks, the people who went there earlier, before us, they've been jealous. Look at it. I was in a room, you know what I mean? Outside it was raining, it was cold, it was hot. So they threw me out. So they put me to sand to fill up the cars with sand, you know. So within a couple of days, they needed another electrician. Went back and forth and back and forth. That took place, but before sickness, it was in August, September, or something like it. I went to work and it was raining. We didn't have no clothing on, and in Germany it's cold. That place is special fall. It's cold. It was raining. We had only a coat, just a thin little coat, and that's all. And it was raining. Everybody. It was we didn't have places to hide. It was raining like horses. They going.
Did you have barracks to sleep in?
Yes, barracks, yes. Or when we worked, it was nothing. We worked outside. Anyway, I got bad, very bad. And meantime, during that time, they give us tests, you know what I mean? Test if you are an electrician. But during that time, they teach us a little bit and showed us a little bit, and I catched up everything. And I passed A1. In every test, I passed A1. It wasn't I wasn't smart enough to do it. God helped me, believe me, because later on, the last test was, when they test me, they put in 10,000 people in a room. They're looking for master. Somebody's a real master. And I was there, and they said, you are not supposed to cook. There was 10 tables. It was as large as those blocks. There was 10 tables where people ask questions and have to do really something. And a couple thousand passed by, they couldn't find one master. After 5,000 people went through, he says, I think I know a little bit, I'll go. Whatever I'll have to be. You know something, he gave me something exactly what I know. And I looked at him, you are cheating me. I turned it over, and he says, master. Everybody jumped up. The first time, third guy who went through as master. You know, and those master helped me to get in inside doors. And inside doors was good because we had machinery I never saw. You know, but I learned about it, and then we made a spoon, a knife, you know, and sold it for a piece of bread, you know. So, and then that master took me later on when I come home wet, you know, with those. And I didn't know where to make it dry, you know. Said if I go like this tomorrow, I couldn't take it any longer. And like I said, I'll take my clothes and I put it under me to make it a little drier. Because it was a little room this big, and like this here, you see. That's all in the big room. It was 500 people there. So, you know, who had place for those, the VIP, you know, real people. So I said, I'll try to make it dry. And as soon as I lay down, somebody came call me in office. Says, didn't know what. Says, come with me. I went over there. Says, are you electrician? It was there. It was an engineer already. That was electric engineers. I didn't. Says, yes. You know this? Yes. So went back. I went back to lay down. And I says, how do I get out in the morning with such a wet clothing, you know? And then another guy come with me. Take your belongings. I didn't have nothing. I had a can, an empty can, but I washed a little bit in a piece of rock and to wipe my hand. That's all was my. And took me in another camp, in another room, where the people who work in the mine, in the coal mine, and they took me there, and it was around 11 o'clock. And I was standing there thinking, how do I go out? I didn't know what's going on. And a guy was sleeping already. He wake up, he saw me. He says, are you electrician? He says, yes. He says, you know, the job you got, I would give you 5 breads for it. 5 breads was worth that $5 million.
5 breads?
Yes, if I have it. I didn't have it. And after that, there was somebody, the room, you know, the head of the room, you know, come and looked my number. We didn't have a name, no name, just numbers. And he brought me a big piece of bread with a piece of salami. He says, this is your bed, you don't have to go tomorrow to work. And you know what I mean? Was I smart? No, I wasn't smart. God, like I said, and then I stayed there about a week. I didn't know nothing almost. After the week, they took.
Did you need any medical attention at that point?
Yes, I went later on. I went to there, and they gave me number 2 sections. It was 5 sections. Those big. I got number 2. The nicest place. Number 2. And I've been standing there, and I looked up there. That machines, those big machines, you do diddle the, and other machines. I said, oh, but can I do anything? Then a guy, number 5, in section number 5, come over, and was a Jewish guy too. He was an electrician, really. And he said, ask me, are you Jewish? I said, what else? He said, do you know something about this? I said, why should I know? I was never an electrician. He says, don't you worry, I'll teach you. And he teach me everything I had to do. And don't be afraid if a motor will go gakai, just call up, they'll give you another one. Or that was one thing. Then it was there a Polish guy who worked as civilian, as electrician. And he fell in love. I do very good jobs. He wanted me to help him. And he took me there. The trouble was in the mine, have places where it's dirt and my feet got swollen, you know, and I couldn't walk. And I had trouble. And then it comes my trouble, they took me in hospital. My feet swelled up very much, and I said I broke a leg. So they took me hospital. I stayed there a week, 10 days, and sent me back. But 3-4 times.
What kind of medical care did you get there then?
Regular medical care. The only thing you get everything, not food. You know, food get the same thing like we get outside, a soup and a piece of bread, that's all.
Did you have to go to a Pell every morning?
Yes, every morning, yes.
Even though you were...
Well, no, in hospital, no. Hospital, I was in a bed. You know, they give me a bed with a little high layer, you know, high to my feet, and I stayed there a week or 10 days and sent me back to my work till 5 times. After the 5th time I come back, somebody else was my place. Because they needed, I was the only one who had those places, and they needed somebody to stay there. So they had another electrician, and they put me to other works, you know, to Shoah. Shoah I couldn't take. The capo, they call it, you know. He showed me how to do it. I says, I couldn't kill me, I couldn't do it. And I had trouble with him, or trouble those ghosts. And finally I had to do something, so I showed, and a coat fell on my leg and hit me, you know, started bleeding. Oh, I broke my leg. So I went back to hospital. And when I come back, they put me up to another place to holler, you know, those beams where they put up the electrician. It's a beam like this, it's very heavy. 2 people have to take it out because they are little wagons, They have to put it up to hold up the mine. And I've been standing by the side from the tracks, from the train tracks, and those beams you have to put between your feet. And one of them get turned over and hit me here in this leg, you see, and hit me, and my feet swelled up. I had pains. I never had such a pains. And I had to walk 12 kilometers back to camp. Or I walked with very much pain or made it. And I went right away I know how to go already in hospital. They put me on. Now at that time, it was the camp already got a bomb and destroyed half of the hospital. They call it Krankenboot.
A bomb?
A bomb in England. That was already in January. They got already a bomb there. And it was movement already around, it wasn't so, aye. And they give me 4 days block Shoah. That means to relax because my feet was, after the Shoah I come back and to see, meantime, instead of resting, I went around to look for a food or something. My feet fell out very much. And I waited to the last minute. It was January the 17th, and it was very cold outside. And I said, if I have to go to work and inside, there are too many eyes, you know what I mean? So I waited the last minute. The last minute, a doctor come in, and I went to the doctor and I says, listen, doctor, it's 12 o'clock because they close up 12 o'clock, wherever you are. And I didn't know what to do. He says, look at my feet is broken, I couldn't walk. And a doctor come in, a German doctor, not an assessment, a real doctor, and they tell me to take off everything, the clothes, to look at it. Both feet been swollen, or this one was very much swollen. Says, look, he has a broken leg. They didn't have an x-ray there to check it. They have to put him in hospital. He put me in hospital. Around took me a couple hours to get there. It's a long story. Till you get in those hospitals, you have to go through so many troubles. They bust you and clean you and take away everything what they have already. Anyway, at 2 o'clock when I come in hospital, and right away I saw something going on. I didn't know what. I asked, nobody tell me. And around 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, I saw they bringing breads, the couples, they had bread hiding, all breads. And give for them a bread, there's a bread. So give me a piece of bread too. He says, I didn't eat it. It's a few days already. I said, sorry, we couldn't do it. Around 6 o'clock, they come over and says, somebody who can walk will give them clothes and will go because the camp that's liquidated. And I couldn't walk because I had a swollen leg. And they said, if not, they'll burn up the camp and burn everybody. Maybe they did it someplace else. I said, burn up, what can I do? So around 9 o'clock, suddenly I heard a big noise because somebody was inside, he couldn't go out, and outside he couldn't in. Had a big noise, I didn't know what it is. People want to go out, it was very much people who want to go and they wouldn't give them. Really sick people. Finally, 10 o'clock, it got quiet. And we had Russian people there, and they broke up the place, the basement where they had the condition. It was liberation. We liberated. In the morning, got up. At night, I worked all night. I brought in merchandise, And
Did you know you were liberated at night?
that I didn't know. I saw it. Everybody left. The Germans with everything, and we stayed there another 4 weeks before, or I had so much food because the Russians, I don't know. I wouldn't know it even today. They had a lock. It was at least thick, heavier than my fingers, and they broke it like this. I don't know how they did it. They didn't pull it out, they broke it in half. I don't know how.
What was it?
A lock, and the merchant, I mean the food,
Where the Germans kept the food?
yes, all those potatoes
So it was a lock on the
and the
supplies?
supply, yes. It was, like I said, very, very heavy, this thick. And they break, it's broken in half. I don't know how they did it. I'll never figure out. And everybody went in, and so many people died right away because they come in. People didn't eat for 3-4 days. And hungry, it was the first they made potatoes, raw potatoes. They've been hungry, they eat potatoes, and they died right away. And then I said, I put some in my pocket too. But then later on, I found carrots and other turnip and so on. Everybody had a knife in his pocket, you know, a spoon with a knife. And I peeled it up and ate it. And they had cheese, they have cheese and other things. So I piled, as many people was in bed.
This is still in the hospital? You were still in the
This
hospital?
is, no, this is finished, that's in the, well, yes, it's out. We went out already, it was open, you know.
But I didn't know if you stayed in the hospital or if you went back to the
No,
barracks.
I stayed. I took a steak, you know, and I walked. You know, I had to walk. I didn't have, in the hospital we don't have no clothing. All we have a short pants and a shirt. That's all. I took a clothing, you know, made a hole and tied it up and went out. It was very cold there. You had to. And I gathered, like I said, everything. Then I had later on 5 people working for me. You know, one of them had break coals, one of them break, because they have a basin, a big, like a swimming pool, or it was very full of potatoes, peeled up potatoes, you know. And Dad used to take potatoes to cook when it was 20,000 people there. And 5 people, one of them brought coals, one of them went outside and steal a chicken, you know, so one of them steal a little pig and cooked 24 hours a day. You know, I waited later on, when I come to Krakow already, after 4 weeks, I waited 95 months.
Let me go back and ask you some specific questions about in the camp. Were you ever hurt, or did you ever see anyone, did you witness anybody that was
Yes,
ever?
yes.
What kind of things did you see happen, or what happened
I
to
was
you?
hurt too. My service was standing in the line, and they brought a can of food. And somebody had a little dish, and he tried to steal a little. And then a couple come along, and I saw the couple put it by my feet. And the couple come along, see the next to my feet. He says, "What it is?" I had a stick. He hit me head with no questions. I didn't even know. You know what I mean? It just they hit people. To hit people, it was no problem. Matter of fact, once we went to unlace, you know, to clean up. We come back naked. It was 10 below. Naked, little naked with nothing. We had to go from here, let's see, till the next block. Naked, we run in the snow, barefoot, and with no clothes at all. We come in and sit down. You couldn't speak nothing. Somebody speak next to me. It was a couple, hit me. Says, I didn't speak. You know what I mean? It wasn't, there was nobody to complain. It wasn't a complaint department.
Were you shaved? Did they
They
continue to
have,
shave
no,
you?
we didn't shave. We shaved this. We shaved, you know, everybody got shaved. They have special barbers, you know, who do the shaving.
How often did they shave you?
I think every second day or so, something like it was. They shaved, barbers, not at night, you know, you have to go to shave.
Did you get, what were the sanitary conditions?
Very clean, very clean.
At
clean.
Jaworza?
Yes, clean. It was, they give you the needle and well, they have the clothing, you know, it's wrapped up, they fix it. People did many things. It was clean.
Did you get clean clothes often?
Yeah, clean. We didn't have nothing, clean clothes, no. Once in a while, yes, we changed clothes.
When you showered, you said, and you had to run naked.
Naked, we then put the cleans in a fertilizer.
Oh, they gave you clean clothes then?
Then they braided back, yes. They give me other things. I don't know how exactly, everybody has his or whatever, or yes, they get it, they clean they keep. Otherwise it was wipe on the people in one room. You know what I mean?
Did you sleep in a bunk by yourself, or did you have
Yeah,
others?
a bunk by myself. No, it was three. 1, 2, 3. I said I was down below.
But there's only one there, not
One, no, just
person.
everybody, yes, himself.
Was that the same as Auschwitz?
Yes, it was. No, it wasn't the same. It was a barrack, a wooden barrack. And in fact, after the liberation, we stayed there, but a couple of weeks, because if there was people who come back, run away, they stop there, and they will be still shooting, across. And some doctors was friend of mine in the next room, and a bomb fell in their room, and they killed 5 people there. Because it was wooden barracks, you know what I mean? That's what they had.
Were you able to keep track of religious holidays? or
No,
how,
no,
how
no,
were you
no,
able
no.
to? You said
No,
it
no,
was
nothing.
Were you able to observe anything? Were
Nothing,
you able to
nothing.
daven
No,
at all?
yes, by heart, if you know it. It was no way of to do it officially. Matter of fact, they did it. It was Germans. I don't know how to call the names. In Kippur, they brought them tefillin to put on tefillin. Just for a joke. They make jokes or whatever. I don't know. Or otherwise, it was no religious, no anything to call religious, Hungarian or Jewish or any other. No religious.
Did you ever see any women in any of the
No,
camps you were in?
no. It was women was in another camp.
And you never saw any of the women?
No.
How about children?
No children. They killed the children right away.
Were you aware of, or did you see any gypsies?
No, they've been gypsies. Yes, this was in Birkenau. The first couple of days in Birkenau, it was on the other side of the fence. It was some gypsies. Yes.
Did you see what happened to them?
No, I couldn't see. They
Did you
wouldn't
ever
let
talk with them?
No.
How about the homosexuals or the people with the pink triangles? Did
I
you
didn't
ever
know.
see
Didn't
any?
see. No.
You never saw any
No,
of them?
we didn't have. They give us no chance. You've been like a cattle. They took you to this, and that's all you have to do.
So even at Jaworzno, when there was a Pell, you still had to go for roll call every morning there?
In Jaworzno, yes, of course. Wait a minute, Jaworzno. No, Jaworzno, we went with a truck. It was 12 kilometers, from the camp to Jaworzno.
So you lived in Auschwitz, or you lived
When Auschwitz, they took us to Jaworzno.
Okay.
You understand?
And so Jaworzno,
Jaworzno was a camp there. We made it barracks. In barracks, it was a big barrack for 500 or 600 people in every barrack.
and you
From there, we went to work every day in the morning. We had up at 5 o'clock, stayed up till a couple hours in the cold and raining.
We'll continue on the next tape again.
Okay.
At the break, you said you remembered that you saw some women when you
Yes,
came,
when we come in,
when you came into which
with
camp?
the train in this Birkenau, we saw like a place, I don't know how to describe it, a whole bunch of women. They've been dressed in colorless, long dresses, and see a couple went with a stick, after like cattle. They were like, and they hit them just like this. Look we have crazy people too here. An hour later, we've been seeing crazy people. They come in, they shaved us, they took away the clothing, everything. All they left was the shoes and the strip. Your strip and glasses if you have glasses. That's all. You see, it was an hour or so. Come here right away, they take off your clothing, take away everything you had. Everybody bought some food along, in case have been taken away.
Okay, so that, as I say, you said you had seen some women.
Some people was there who was smart. They hide in their body, some things. Or later on, they had gold tooth. They took some take out his gold teeth for a piece of bread, and some of them lived enough to survive it, and that's to enjoy it. That's all I can say.
Were you ever guarded by dogs?
No. They had dogs there in certain places. I saw they feed the dogs very good, so some people start stealing a piece of meat or whatever from the dog, In my case, it was no dogs because, like I said, I was a worker. Whatever I did is at workplace and at home. It was nothing.
Who were you guarded by mostly?
Soldiers. German soldiers.
Not the Gestapo or the stormtroopers then, just the Wehrmacht, those soldiers?
Well, looks like the Wehrmacht, yes. I don't think it was. Matter of fact, I'll tell you something. It was a time when I, in camp, and I was really, it was Tisha B'Av, and I fasted. And I put away the food, and it was cold, and I needed it, and I got sick. And I had to work, I don't remember it was, and I fall asleep. It was there a guard. This was the guard, not of them was real bad. And they come in and wake me up, hey, you have to work. And they didn't say nothing. You know what I mean? Everybody was thinking, look at, I survived. Like I said, it wasn't sick. God was with me in these cases. It was, that's all I can say.
Did you meet any other people who were good to you? Of the Kapoors?
Yes,
of
some
the
people,
Guard?
some Polish people, they didn't know. You see, the Hungarian people and the Polish people didn't go along so good. But since I talk a very good Yiddish, and this, they didn't know I'm a Hungarian. They asked me, where are you, from Krakow or from Warsaw? You see, I spoke such a perfect Yiddish like everybody else. And matter of fact, one day a Polish guy come, you want a piece of bread? Here, have a piece of bread, you know.
Otherwise, what if they had known you were Hungarian, how would you have been treated?
Well, I don't know. Like I said, they didn't know I'm Hungarian. Somebody who had to know. It wasn't too many to know because you don't have a name, you don't have nothing. She had a number. You don't know who you are. You understand? When they called you, they didn't call you by the name Marton or Tesler or Edelstein or whatever. They called you this and this number in Polish, you know. And yes, here. That's all. It was no people there. It was just animals with a name, with a number.
You were telling about after liberation by the Russians, you stayed in
In Yavazna,
for a while.
the trouble is, sorry, the Russian soldiers been hungry too. Matter of fact, and I told you, you see, the Germans had a big supply place, and that night, you know, after the relation, I went down, and they had cheese, you know, package of cheese, the smelly cheese, I don't know, and I brought about 50, 60 pounds of cheese, and then I found a sack of cream of wheat, and I found a bottle of schnapps. I found many things, you know.
What did you do with them?
I put it on a bed for a sick guy, and I said, here, I'll give you two, so, you know, we'll divide it, you know what I mean? So I give him a poor boxes of cheese and this and this. He keeps it there. Or some of them, the Russian soldiers come along, if they can, they steal a piece of cheese or so on. They've been hungry themselves. In fact, if the relation, some brought some what do you make the cigarettes of?
Tobacco?
Tobacco. They brought tobacco. So if I had cheese, they gave me a whole bunch of tobacco. The tobacco was a big item, you know, and I made money by that, you know what I mean?
Did you smoke?
I smoked, yes. Matter of fact, well, I did smoke, yes. Well, they give you a package of cigarettes too, every 4 weeks or so. But 20 cigarettes. And they have,
You stayed there for how long then?
but 4 weeks, because we couldn't go away. We didn't have transportation. We've been like in a forest, you know what I mean? No transportation. So what we can do is, one car was there left over, no gas, we didn't have already run away. And we didn't know transportation, so I stayed there and we eat because it was so much food. It was, like I said, a basin as big as this house, maybe bigger, full of potatoes that I peeled up. And it was, but I had cream of wheat, I have everything, you know. I cooked and matter of fact, we had flour too. And I bought bread, or I didn't have no yeast or anything, or I made it. You know what I mean? And then I have, like I said, 5 people work. I have so much food. 5 people worked. One of them brought coals, one of them brought water, one of them went this, and one of them was a cook who stayed there and cooked all 24 hours a day. And then after 4 weeks, people come along, they says, we have already, the doors are open, we can go, the trains are open, we go. So everybody run away. I've been all by myself. No, I had 5 people working. Even those people, 4 of them run away. And I stayed. Matter of fact, but I didn't tell you is they still been fighting. It's been fighting around a bit little farther because it was very cold. And they shot, and I saw a coal going next to me like this. You know, if it would have a little farther, it would hurt me. And I took a little food for them a little because I had cream of it. And after that, they all run away. He left me, and I hide in a basement. And the basement was the place where they keep the supply, the medical supply. And for the medical supply, I took everything I can. And so everyone run away. And one of them got an older guy, stayed with me for a couple hours. But everybody was anxious to leave. So after first says, let's go. Says, I couldn't go, I didn't have nothing. So I found a big box, and I had a sack there. It was all supplies what I need. And I made a sled. It was very cold, it was full of snow. And I made a sled. I had nails from every hammer, and I made a sled, and I put in those sled whatever I can. I got about a half a gallon of schnapps. I don't know, was it vodka or was it real? I mean, 190, those real. Anyway, I put everything in those, and he couldn't stand it. He says, I'm sorry, I have to go. And he left. And I went all by myself. So I took one cover, put it on my shoulder, so on my neck, and I took a string and I went to the sled by myself, all by myself. And it took me 2 days, those 12 kilometers we used to go to work, it took me 2 days to do.
And you went?
At night I went in a home, it was empty. It looks like it was living there, those German royalty or whatever they call it. They ran away and it was empty, and I went there and I said, it's empty. And I needed wood to make fire. So I broke a couple chairs, made fire, cooked myself a bowl of cream of wheat because I had plenty. And I slept overnight, and I went. I come in a place where the Russians picked up the workers, for the survivors. Well, they give everybody a bread, but 2 kilos bread, and people eat it up in an hour. People didn't eat for days, And then I talked to people to go with me. Nobody wanted to meet because I had my leg, was still swollen. Finally, I went out. It's a long story because I made a stop over someplace else overnight, and I had to have something. He says, I have nothing. And I had already, when those people who run away, they brought me cigarettes and they brought me lighters, lighter was a big item. And I showed them I have vodka. Who said, vodka? I says, what do you want? He says, I'm hungry. So they had cabbage with meat. This, whatever, and I slept over there. I was sick already then because they had Cibazole, instead of they had aspirin. I took those Cibazole and I sweat overnight and it got a little better. And in the morning, I asked people, nobody wants to go with me because I couldn't go. I went out.
You were still walking?
Walking. I didn't have no choice. I didn't have no airplane. And walking, and then a bunch of girls come along, girls from Czechoslovakia, They've been working through something. It looks like they work more gentle work. Everybody has a big pack of something, He saw me and says, I start talking to him, and I told him my story. He says, you know something, we'll work with you. And I didn't know if they liked me or what happened. Finally, we walked a couple blocks, and since they talk Russian, Russian guys, they went to Russian. And look, we have a sick guy, he couldn't walk. Maybe we can have a little transportation. We waited there, after 15 minutes, a truck come along and says, come on. Took us to Katowice, and the next stop, it got night. And then they separated us, we gave us a bed, we slept overnight. In the morning, I opened up at night my thing, and I said, what I have, I'll go with you, I'll walk with you. See, they know they'll take away everything and let me alone. I says, no, thank you, I have my group. Come out in the morning, my girls come along, come on. I just want to tell, it wasn't my smartness. It's like I said, God helped me all the way. They went out, went to the street, stopped, went to a truck, says, listen, we have a poor guy. They took my sled and everything, and truck, and took us all the way to Krakow. I was the first one to get there, because everybody walked. I was the only one who had transportation.
How long was this then? Was this like in February in 45? Or?
No, it wasn't in February, it was in February. Yes, in February, yes, 4 weeks later, yes.
4 weeks, okay.
And I come to, come along, oh boy, you know my brother, my sister. I didn't know nobody because everybody had a number, I didn't know no names. Finally, everybody brought me a little bread, a little food, and I eat everything. When I eat everything, I was ready, I says, like right on. I looks like still sick, I have a little fever. I said, sorry, we couldn't give you nothing because Krakow was destroyed, you know what I mean, and everybody who had a family took in people. Finally, they had MPs there, people who take care of those things. A Jewish guy come to me and says, listen, don't ask nobody for help because they didn't have no room. He'll take you in the hospital. He took me to the hospital was broken too. Everybody was on the floor. In the hospital, they took my temperature and I had fever, about 37, 38. And they recognized me, I'm sick, and they took me in the hospital. And then registered me, and they know what I am. Says, I'm a dentist. They said, put it down, doctor, And they took me in the floor because the hospital was a little destroyed. And the morning come in 2 doctors with the medical association. They brought me a suit and a pair of shoes and a hat and a shirt with everything. He gave me 20 zlotys. That was Panie Doktorze, I was doctor. And I stayed in hospital for 10 days. And after 10 days, I felt better. I want to go out. He says, Panie Doktorze, don't go out. We are short of doctors. We need you. So I had to stay another 5 weeks. And that 5 weeks was my saver. Because during that 5 days, I did very good work. And I wanted to go home. She says, no, Panie Doktorze, you are too good to leave you. I stayed there 5 weeks. And in 5 weeks, there had many sick people, I served with certain things, bandage and other things, injections. And they brought food for those people and they couldn't eat, and I ate it up. He's saying I get every day but 2-3 pounds. I have a bread, 2 pounds of bread. The toilets used to wash me. Look at how people can eat.
And it didn't make you sick eating?
No, matter of fact, I have cream of wheat. And they took me in the hospital, they opened up my medication, and I give them medications. You know what I have? Instruments, you know what I mean? And it says, by the Doktorze, they cooked me. They made me every day a bowl of cream of wheat. They give me a little milk. And like I said, I grew healthy till 5 weeks. During 5 weeks, I made so much money. So because they brought me food, clothing, and I know where to buy bread and everything already. I had money. I was already a boss there in hospital. And I had already a few servants who take those all things in the flea market, brought me home dollars and whatever. And after 4 weeks, my friends come along. My buddies went home. Some of them, my husband says, Marton, you have to go, we can't go home already, come out. And then they went to the doctor, says, listen, you have to go home, and so they let me go. See, because they wouldn't let me go. Besides, I was too good to, I didn't work like a doctor, I was just a nurse, and they needed me. So after 5 weeks, and then I started another 4 weeks in Krakow, because they brought me merchandise, and I made that business. After 4 weeks, the train started really going, or not really, because my friend said, we can't go home. I says, and I didn't want it, I did good business, and, or they took all my things, and I come home, then I couldn't walk already, I couldn't walk, my feet was sick. Then I had to go steps, I have to raise my feet like this, well. And they took everything and they let me a note, says, you want to see us by the train, you came over there. So I went there and we slept on the train 3 days. It was a train with full of coals, and on top we slept. Finally, slowly, we made it. It took me about 3 weeks to get home.
So when you got home,
Yes.
what did you find? Did you find people that you knew?
Well, yes, many people I know. Of course, I was growing up in the city, and somebody was in the army. They come home. You see, many people.
How long did you stay there then in Sutton?
I stayed till 1949, till 1959.
Wait a minute, you stayed in Sutton?
In Sutton, yes, a whole year. Not a whole, but a year. We made big business. I went back to Krakow then.
So wait, this was 45 to 46 or 45?
Yes, 45
you
to
stayed
46.
45, okay.
Yes, and I went back to Krakow then. I built up a beautiful home there. I made a beautiful home. I rented one, very good, bigger than this. And I went to Krakow with merchandise ready. I knew what they need, and with a Russian wagon, and brought home some people, find some relatives there, and my wife's sister's kids too.
Your Brina's?
Brandis, yes, sister's kids.
Oh.
And I brought home 4 girls. And I had 4 girls. And since I was already in business, I made them clothing there. They went out like poor soldiers, He said that Tesler's brigade.
Tesler's brigade.
They called them. And still have lived two of them in Israel. I couldn't find them. I looked for them. Anyway.
And then what happened?
Then I went back and I stayed there. We made good business.
At Satmar?
In Satmar, yes. We sent over, in Satmar we have, 100 kilometers from Satmar is a place called Seagate. And there they have salt. Salt was, in Russia is no salt. Russia doesn't have no salt. And Hungary doesn't have no salt either. And we sent over 60 wagons of salt to Hungary. It was about $100,000 at least. And when they come to pay, we made it for 5 cents a kilo. And when they want to pay with penguins was inflation, penguins. So then my wife's sister come along and she says, my sister is waiting for you. We've been neighbors, neighbors next door, neighbors.
Who was this now?
This is my wife, the one I married.
Oh, wait, so this
Her sister.
Brina's sister?
No,
Okay.
Zelda's sister. That's
So
Zelda's sister.
someone,
Brina was never killed right away. She had a baby with her. She had a 6-month baby. They took her right away. A mother with the babies, they killed right away.
right,
The mother
but
with the
when
baby.
you said your wife's sister, so, this is
This
Zelda's?
is Zelda's
Oh,
sister.
tell who Zelda is then.
This was my wife here, Beryl's mother, Beryl's Neo's mother.
But for the purpose of understanding the way it happened,
Yeah.
so you got married again then?
Yes, that was my second marriage.
And her name,
Was Zelda
what was her maiden name?
Stober.
And when were you married?
Exactly February 17,
What year was that?
in 1946.
And did you know her from before?
We've
or-
been neighbors for 10 years. She knew me, she knew my family. I made her his teeth in Europe, for her mother, for his father.
When you were married you were neighbors with her when you lived with your mother or
That's
with
right.
your first
Yeah,
wife?
Yes,
Which one?
first wife.
She was neighbors, okay.
Neighbors, next door neighbors, you know.
So how did you meet her again then?
Well, like I said, she was liberated in Bergen-Belsen. And her sister, they have property in Romania. Her sister went home to sell the property. And meantime, she brought me some gifts from her sister, you know, some cigarettes, American cigarettes. It was a big name. And says, you know, she would like to see you. And I know what she means, you know, because we were very close friends. You know, with all my neighbors in Satmar. And Merzeldi was the nicest girl in the whole Sarah, the area. So she was very pretty and a very sweet little thing. And so that was, and then I took a little box and put in a suit with a couple underneath and whatever. And I left everything over for the girls. I didn't take nothing with me. I went to Budapest. In Budapest I have a partner, you know, because we made business. We sent merchandise, you know, to each other. And I took some money from them because I didn't have enough money. And I went to, and I went through Czechoslovakia and Romania and Hungarian, and then I come to Germany. The Germans wouldn't let me through. I had papers because when I come home, I didn't have no papers. And when I come home, I had a relative. He was the police chief. He says, I'll make you some papers. He made me very good papers. And those papers I went all over. I come to Germany, he says, no, you couldn't do that. And send me back. And then I went out, and then a German guy comes and says, I speak the good German. He says, you do Reisel, what are you doing here? Do you have to go there? Go here. And he showed me a way just to go straight. And I went straight. It was very cold, it was snowing. And I went through those little forest, and I come home and I see kids coming up. He says, where are you coming from? It can be at school. Where are you? And says, in Self, that's the name of it. And then I went in a bar there. They have those bars, and I asked for something. They said, we have nothing. Then I opened up my box and I took out the cigarettes and other things. Who says, what do you want, buddy? By the way, it was beer and whatever I want, everything was due. So I stayed there a little time, and then the keeper there told me, listen, the American soldiers come here and maybe they'll find you, they'll send you back, take the train and go to Hamburg, Hamburg, yes, not Hamburg, but anyway, to another city. And then I went to Hamburg, and there was a Jewish committee already. And I stayed there overnight, and then in the morning, they have trucks going from Bergen-Belsen to Bergen-Belsen. I drove the truck, and I find myself in there, and I said, you know, we kiss, we like friends, all friends, and I said, when are we going married? I didn't ask her if she wants to. I know she wants to get married. And she says, we just arrived. What are you in a hurry? He says, 2 weeks? She says, 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, we got married.
Describe what kind of wedding. Was it a regular?
Well, the wedding was one of the nicest. You know, you see, in effect, when I wedding, the rabbi from the camp was a friend of mine from Europe. He used to learn about those big sad rabbi, I told you about him. And I went to him and I said, I want to get married. At that time, they made 25 marriages a day. He says, I have so many marriages, I couldn't do it. For me, okay. And I made a wedding, and I cooked. You see, since as soon I come there, they took me right away as dentist for the camp.
For the DP camp?
DP camp, yeah, it was 25,000 people there. And I become nurse, and so I got ready merchandise made than somebody else. And I made the wedding. I cooked, like I told you, I cooked the yoghurtloks, you know, soup and with. He says, where do you get meat? Meat, it wasn't. Says, everybody be quiet. But I had everything almost for a wedding. And after I put up fish, I says, this one you made of spice soup. I have all those big rabbis. You can see in the picture. It's just a part of it. And it was a beautiful wedding. And we lived happily after. till 49 and
Now,
49.
did you continue to work as a dentist then?
There, yes, yes.
And did Zelda work?
No, Zelda didn't work, no.
What kind of housing did you have in Bergen-Belsen?
I have a special house. What do you mean housing? An apartment. One room with a kitchen, you know, and one bedroom and a front room, that's all.
Did you have any children?
Yes, Bell was born in 47. A year later, after marriage, 47, he was born in July 31st.
And
29, 21st, something like it. Yes,
and then you came. Then you stayed there until 49. You said.
yes.
What were your plans at that point?
I'll tell you the truth. The plan was I want to go to Australia. Or the doctor from the camp was my friend, you know, two doctors. Was one doctor sent in England special. He said, Martin, don't go to Australia. St. Smith is so. You better go to America. Because I don't want to marry America because I was in Budapest. In Budapest, you've been only a little screw in the big machine. And I know New York is bigger than Budapest. He says, no, don't you worry. I'll give you a place where to go. And come on, I'll register you. Because we had a little problem. It's supposed to be there for 59, you know. And I didn't come, I think, in 59. It was 1946. It was January. I don't remember exactly, even today. I said, you don't ask, don't talk to nobody. I'll answer the questions. He took me in a committee. He was an Englander, you know, he spoke well English. And they asked me, you want to go to America? And asked me, yes. I said, yes. He says, okay. Was there a guy, I'll never forget him, a friend of mine. He wanted to go so much away from Germany. And he did everything. Nobody would listen to him. Finally, 4 weeks later, they called me in the committee. Said, you want to go really to America? I said, yes, I said it. Well, and a couple of weeks later, they tell me, you can go already. You have your papers ready. And he was standing there all day, waiting, watching, and I saw me. What's happened? He says, I can't go. He says, I worked so hard, cost me so much money, and I couldn't go. And look at, you don't want to go, and here you go. And I arrived here, 1949, September the 5th or the 7th, I remember anymore. September, well, like here, and
1949. We're going to end this tape again and start another one.
oh, one more? Boy, oh boy. O'clock.
This is tape 6, September 8th, 1997. Survivors Marton Tesler, interviewer Tony Catch-Binstock in Denver, Colorado, United States of America. Interviews being conducted in English. You told it about coming to America. Let me ask you a couple questions about Bergen-Belsen. Did anybody help you? Which organizations helped you to come to the U.S.?
No
if any?
organization. Nothing. I was working in Bergen-Belsen. I was working for the UNRWA. You said I had about 20 people with me who
Okay, it was
helped me.
UNRWA then.
Yes, I was the doctor, and they worked in dental, you know. That's because everybody who went to America or any place in America, they have to have teeth, good teeth. Otherwise, they wouldn't pass. So we have to make everybody in teeth, you know, whoever went someplace. And I have about 20 people who worked.
Excuse me.
Yeah, go ahead.
And so you were a dentist until you left then?
Yes, yes. When I
Making
come
the dentures, yeah.
Yes, not dentures. We made crowns or
Oh, okay.
a little different.
And your wife had been a survivor, was a
She
survivor
was a survivor.
too?
Yeah, she was in Bergen-Belsen. She was in this camp during the Holocaust. I mean, yes, she was in the camp. She lived there. There were 9 kids, and all of the 2 sisters died the last couple of days. In the last days, some couple hit her so much, she steal a couple of potatoes or whatever. It was, well, that's what I know about it.
Did Zelda, your wife Zelda, ever tell you about her experiences in camp?
Well, to be honest with you, she worked like anybody else, that's all. It was nothing to tell about.
That's what I was wondering. Did those of you who were in the DP camps, did you talk about your war experiences?
It wasn't nothing to talk about. It wasn't, well, maybe we talked about it. You know what, it wasn't interesting to talk because I worked as, first, many times during that back and forth, I worked shovel sand, to fill up little wagons, their little trays, they went back and forth to put sand. I don't know what they did, whatever. And they dig holes. They had to drill holes, and so on and so on. That's all it was, the whole thing what they did.
But they didn't talk about their...
No, it wasn't something to worth remembering or talk about it. I remember, okay,
go ahead.
I remember Yossi was said, why didn't you buy a car, a German car? He says, you know what the Germans do to us? He said, it's a different Germans. So what can you talk about it? It was nothing to talk about. Today it's a different story a little bit because since we grown up, since the community, the society pushes to have something from this Holocaust. They start bugging and like Switzerland, Switzerland they find Jewish money there. They work with the Nazis together in other countries. You know what I mean? Or otherwise it was not interesting. No, they start paying somebody, pays this way, so that's all. And that's what I didn't get a penny from Bitterwood. Zeldy got $300. So for $300 it doesn't work for me too. And $80 I had to give for the lawyer. And there it cost me, maybe at $250.
That's why you never got reparations.
No, I didn't ask anymore because I was in the soldier and so on, so they get paid for everything. I never asked for it. Thanks God I made it with God's help, all by myself, with not their help.
You had said you came to America. How did you get here? On what ship, or how were you brought?
I told you, I come with General Hose. I come to New Orleans. That was the first station where we get there, stayed there for a day or two. From there we come the train through Denver, Colorado. Matter of fact, I told you that Dr. in Bergen-Belsen, he told me about Colorado. I didn't know Colorado. I didn't know I know what America was. Matter of fact, I was in Israel. I found a friend. He says, are you from America? I says, yes. He says, maybe you know my brother. He says, your brother, what's his name? He said, Moshe. He says, Moshe in America. He says, didn't you know Moshe? So where does he live? In America. So where is in America? Brooklyn, didn't you know? That's all I know. So I didn't know Moshe. I didn't know where it is. That's the way it was. And I thought that New York is America. That's what people, New York is all America. We're not, yes, maybe it's a little town, or that's all in New York.
So the doctor told you about Denver?
Then he told me about Denver, and I asked people, where is Denver? He says, nobody knows. And then I found somebody who knows, says, oh, you're going to Denver, or don't go there. It's all sick people. Where you go, don't sit on this place, don't go, watch yourself, because everybody's sick there. So, says something, and then I say it's a normal city like anybody else.
Did you get any help from any agency when you got here?
In New Orleans, we got a coffee, and it was a machine with Coca-Cola. All you have to say thank you. And it took me a week to learn how to say thank you. That's all it's to it. And here, we didn't have no something special.
Who did you stay with? Or?
I stayed in Knox Court with Sorota. I said 25 Knox Court.
You came with your wife Zelda,
yes,
and with Beryl, your son.
with Berlin, yeah.
And how long did you stay then with? Was it Rabbi Sorota?
No, rabbis, nothing. This is a different story. I start working right away as dentist. I went to doctors for work, and they give me. Then doctors told me, we couldn't give you because you live in Knoxcourt and we need the merchandise right away. And then I tried to get a room in one of those bigger buildings. I couldn't get it. So I start going to doctors and picking up some repairs and so on. And then somebody took me to make a grocery store. And I made a grocery store. I bought a grocery store, matter of fact. I did the biggest fault what I did is to buy those groceries. It wasn't for me. It was a penny business, and I wasn't used to it. And besides, I couldn't talk English, and they said, "Do learn English." That was the only thing that I could learn a little bit. And I stayed in the grocery store about 4 years. And I suffered very much. I'll tell you why. Because in the little grocery stores, you have to have relatives who come to buy from you. Otherwise, all you have the customers for the rounding, they want a bottle of milk and maybe a piece of bread or something. That's the whole story, you know what I mean? And then she could make a living. So after 4 years, God helped me. They called me up and they have a room for me downtown. See, and then I got the room there and I start working. And then I start getting up a little bit, you know. And or I owe so much money for it, you know, because I made every month or every second week I made a set of teeth because I already worked.
Where did
Yeah.
you do your work then?
I had the basement always. I made right away at lab, you know, Marton Tesler. It wasn't good because Tesler, nobody could spell it, and I don't know how to spell it. Finally, my wife said, "You have Martin, a name's very common here." So I made it Martin's Dental Lab. And then I started doing fine, and after 4 years, I sold my business and I put an ad in paper. And then on I started having Panusa Breva, you know what I mean? That's all I can tell you. God help me all over. You know, even those things, in fact, I have Yantis, you know, sometimes they come to me and says, they start handling, says, "I don't have a grocery store. Don't like it, goes into right."
When you first came here and you couldn't speak the language, how did you get the work from the dentist?
Well, Yiddish. I have Dr. Martin was a dentist, and Tapley, and it was rather, and then later on, and I learned a little bit, I talk a little bit, I start going. I went to one dentist, and he asked me this, a good question. I found a doctor, Dr. J.J. O'Neill. I'll never forget him. Let him have the Gan Eden. I come to him and I speak to him, because I went to many doctors, they said they didn't understand me. I didn't speak a good English, even today. Anyway, he said, "Martin, I'll try you." And then they give me a little work, a little repair. In a couple of days, I had people who, against me, you know, other labs. Says, so they told them I'm a poor guy, and I couldn't do it. It's for Europe, and it's the same. He called me up and says, "Are you a poor guy?" I says, "Yes." And I told him my story. And then he says, "You know something? I give you just a little of my work. From now on, I'll give you all my work." And he gave me all his work. That was the first time I had when the first doctor would give me Friday a check for $120. That was big money that time. And besides, I had a little private work. And later on, we were so friendly, you know, like brothers. You know, we'd be joking. He liked my stories like you like. He asked me many things. And I used to get a little simcha for Hanukkah, put him a latkes, or give him a bottle of wine or matzahs. And I told him jokes. And he went home and told him, "Martin, we love you so much." Matter of fact, you know, something later on, he called me up, he says, "Listen, Martin, you are a poor guy. I paid all my labs every month. I think you need the money, he pay you every week." And he started paying me every week. Finished Friday, here is your check. And one day I delivered him some work, and he said, and he was busy, he left it, and I went home Friday. I come home, the telephone rings. "Who's Dr. O'Neill? Wanted to see you right away. He need you very badly." I run over there. It was Friday, and I used to come home a little earlier. And he says, you know something? You'll go to Marton Synagogue and says, Dr. O'Neill didn't pay you. Here is your check and go. Yes, and then when he passed away, he left me his lab and his all equipment, everything. He's a rich guy, you know, had rich kids. And left me everything, and it wasn't just like this because it was many and the collected items. I made a little money on him. He was very nice of me. The nicest thing ever happened to me. Then I had Avrum Platzumer, and he had a junkyard. What's his name? Anyway, he says, Martin, I'll take all the equipment in my job. And then a week later, his daughter called me, Martin, still have daddy's things? I says, yes. He says, I have a doctor, he wants to buy it. He sent me a doctor, he bought everything. So when I bought then, and you know, God helped me then, and slowly I made it.
Did you have other children after Beryl?
Yes, Yossi was born in 53. Yes.
What were your kids' adjustment like to school, or Beryl especially, when he came to this country?
He went, they had a Hillel Academy first, and started the Hillel Academy. Then he went back to school. And he had a Hillel Academy. He learned in Hillel. He was there. But this was Avrum Urbach. Remember Avrum Urbach? Your father, I don't know. Marton. He made the first Hillel. He'd have 17 kids. 9 girls and 8 boys. And for that one, today I don't have to tell you, I know a whole bunch of schools and many doctors and lawyers and engineers from the same day school. And very nice.
And then you and Zelda, how long were you married?
30 years.
And then what
30
happened?
years. And then she got cancer. And she was too much of a lady. She didn't tell nobody. When she told it was too late. She had a doctor, Dr. Zuckerman, and he treated her very badly. And I told her, take another doctor. No, he's okay. And then, matter of fact, when she was sick for the first time, I could have sued him even today. She was in hospital, and she has diabetes. And diabetes, he treated her, he gave her some medicine. She got bubble all around it. And she told me, what happened? I couldn't, it hurts me. Why didn't you have a doctor? She says, I couldn't, because I come in, get morning, eat it, everything okay, goodbye, I'll see you tomorrow. And it's a visit. And then she says, how could the doctor do something? Stay here, you'll see it. Come in, I sit there. Morning, Edith, everything okay, goodbye, I'll see you tomorrow. Just come not back, look what he did. He looked at her and says, I could have killed you, I have to give you other medicine. Well, anyway, slowly then she got more and more and more. And she, finally, Maureen convinced her to go to another doctor. But it was a little too late. The cancer spread, you know. And
Maureen, say who Maureen is.
To what?
Tell who Maureen is. What Maureen is, how is she related to you?
Well, Maureen is a nice lady. Maureen is same thing. Maureen
Is
been
Beryl's,
well married, and because they went in college in Boulder, both
so
of them.
that's Beryl's wife.
Yes.
Okay. And your wife died what year did you say? Zelda?
71. No, not 70. It's in the 70s.
70s. And then did you marry again?
Yes.
And who was that?
It was a very nice lady from New York. Or it lasted only 6 months. Because she had a son. He was in Florida. And he got his Encyclopedia Judaica with his brother. It was a good business, the Judaica. Or her son was very bright. He went to a girl when he was hooked for $20. He gave her $100. You have to buy something, everything expensive. The end was of the story, he spent more money than he earned. And the franchise, it was a franchise, and he couldn't pay it up. So he got very sick. He had to give up the business. A long story, I don't want it to take time.
What was her name, though, the woman that you married?
Becher.
First name?
Feige.
Becker?
Yeah. And he got sick emotionally. And I made a compromise to give up the business and come to New York because his brother, and he come back and he just want to kill himself. And she had to go back and forth to save him. Finally, one day she went back and said, Martin, my son is very sick. It's beautiful, 2 kids, both bachelors. He's Michael, very sick, and he needs help. And I have to stay with him, otherwise he'll kill himself. He lived on the 2nd floor and was to jump down and kill himself. So I went to New York and I tried to stay in New York. In fact, I took over my business a little bit, took a car there, couldn't stay there. I thought I'll die. I couldn't take the weather. And I said, honey, sorry, we divorced. We lived about 6 months together. She was a very nice person. She made everybody love her here in town. And she was very famous. Whatever it was something, she was a good cook, a good barbusta, And then, first I divorced her in England, in English. Then I was in New York and we talked. We went to Rabbi. The rabbi said, go back because we are still married. Finally, one day we went to Rabbi, we picked we'll go back to work, I'll buy a house and so on. In the morning she called me and she will on divorce. They called them Rabbi right away. And then there, afternoon, 3 o'clock, she was divorced. And then a full year she called me up every day. She was to marry her again with the same conditions. She says, honey, if that flour but wouldn't be bread. No, you wouldn't stay in Denver and I wouldn't stay in New York, and I'm sorry. And then when we divorced, now listen to me, this is a nice story. As soon as we divorced, he come to me, gave me a big kiss and says, I still love you. And the rabbi says, I have a shidduch for you, somebody. And the 2 rabbis who was the witness from the get took her to another rabbi and he fell in love with her. And then she comes to tell me, see, I have already somebody fall in love, he'll want to give me everything I want. The only thing, I want you to be married again. She called every day, called up my friends. Finally, she didn't have no choice. The man give her everything, give her $25,000, give her a trip to Israel, because her first husband is in Israel. He was a rabbi, and everything she wants. And then she says, no, she still wants me. She says, the get what I give her, it's no good. I have to give another get. And I said, I paid for it, why should I do? And I said, no. So she called up all the rabbis here in town. All of them come to me and says, listen, let her live. And they bothered me too much, and I says, okay. So the rabbi who married her sent the money to Rabbi Tversky, and I had to go give her another get. But not have to go live with her again because the get is no good. So that's what I said, I'm not going to marry anymore. Or, you get lonely. I had a nicer house across the next block in Hudson. And I rented. It was long. It's too long of the story to tell you just. And I sold it. I didn't sell it. I just rented. The guy said, "Do you want to sell it?" He says, "Yes." Matter of fact, I want to sell it, but occasionally he says, "I want 65,000."
Well, what could be? So you moved. Let's kind of move it a little along. So then you sold that house and moved here.
No.
Okay.
Well, finally, I rented it, and the guy asked me if I want to sell it. I says, how much do you want? I want 65,000. He says, I didn't have no money, or if you sign me, I can buy it till a year, I'll buy it. And I was in Israel. I was going to maybe find somebody in there. He called me up to Israel, says, I have the money, I want the house. If you want to sell it. I says, why not? In the meantime, the house went up double. I could get 30,000 more for it. Or Bill come along and says, Daddy, he is in computer business, and he gives me $40,000 a year business, so please don't give me any trouble. So he paid me cash, and I sold it. And I moved back to the west side. And I stayed there, west side, all by myself. And then when I went to Florida, I met her, we got married, he should come there. Yossi come home once, I had 2 bedrooms. I says, the bedroom so small I didn't have room for my merchandise. He says, let's buy another home. We find this one here. Beryl lived already here. And 2 weeks later we bought this house. And since then it's April. We live here.
And tell me Paula's whole name. I don't think we got that on the internet.
Elbinger. No, Paula's, her name is Jonas. Her father's name was Jonas. Or she was married and her first husband's name was Elbinger.
She said before you've been married for 20, or you said you've been married for 20 years now. Are you still working?
Well, something, yes.
You're not, are you retired? You're not retired yet?
Well, I'm official. You see, I have the license, and I pay taxes, and I send in the tax when I send in the last taxes. I retired 17th of August, my birthday. So that's the way it is. What I have to do later on, I don't know. So I still have customers, and I couldn't say no, so that's all.
Have you talked to your children about your experiences?
For example, what?
Well, Beryl had said that he didn't ask too much. Have you talked about your wartime experiences with your children?
That needs to talk. It's not. Beryl wanted to be a dentist. He was enrolled in college, and it wasn't the dental wasn't open. He got. I have a friend, Radford. I don't know if you know. He was in computer business. He's very good. And he says, Beryl, I need somebody, somebody I can trust. And I'll pay you $10,000. That was 25 years ago. $10,000 was money. And then he come to me and says, Daddy, the dental school is not open. He was registered as a doctor, or it wasn't open. So that I can get $10,000 till I get back to school. Can I do it? He says, yes, why not? I let him. And 6 months later, he gets in those, he gave him a secretary and teach him the whole business. 6 months later, he was so great, he got $10,000. They offered to $15,000, $16,000. Then he says, I'll give you $20,000 to come with me to Los Angeles. He went to Los Angeles with him and built up a beautiful home there. Our Maureen couldn't stay there because she has a little asthma, have to come back. And I had a partner, Gary, a nice guy, and they made partnership. And when he left, and he come back, he says, we can work together already. They opened their own business, and they hired right away 35. Maureen called up everybody. He got right away 35 girls working for him. And they've been partners till but a couple of years ago when he complained he don't work on Shabbos and he work on Sunday. So he said, okay, let's divide it. And he took the business and he took his own business.
And tell me about your, excuse me, your other son, Yossi. Just kind of tell me about where he lives.
He lives in Lakewood, New Jersey. Lakewood, New Jersey. He is today in computer business too. Or he tried in real estate, tried to bow and so on. Didn't work because in Lakewood they have many thieves. You build up a home, you put in a freezer there, tonight, tomorrow morning, come, it's an empty house, they steal it. You bring merchandise, to build, they steal it. So, and he had to pay for the workers, had to pay for everything. So one day he says, I have enough. Or there they have a yeshiva, and the yeshiva wasn't like bombs. He says, you have to learn a trade, and that's all. And it took him. Since they have people who they've been working with for many years, they give them their people and they teach them. Today it makes only $60,000, $70,000, in business. And thanks God, his wife is a teacher, and they do very good. That's Yossi.
I think we'll finish the rest of the tape on the next, excuse me, the rest of your story in the next tape. This is tape 7, September 8th, 1997. Excuse me. The survivor is Marton Tesler, interviewer Tony Catch-Binstock, in Denver, Colorado, United States of America. The interview is being done in English. Just had a few questions I wanted to ask you just kind of at the end here, Mr. Tesler. How do you think that your Holocaust, your wartime experiences, affected the way you raised your children?
I don't think it have anything to do with it.
Were your children raised Jewish?
Well, yes. Yes, both of them in a raised Jewish home. Matter of fact, like Mr. Orbach made us Hillel, bell to the Hillel, and to the first time, and like I said, look at what happened later.
Did you talk about your experiences to your other grandchildren? David was here earlier. Have you talked to any of Yossi's kids about your experiences?
No. No, it's no use to talk. What do we have to talk? Trouble. Listen, if you cry, you have to cry yourself. If you make a simcha, then you have company. So I cried my time, and that's all. What else can I do? Matter of fact, I tried to forget everything.
Do you have any long-term effects physically? You mentioned about your leg. Do you have any long-term effects from your experiences?
Yes, a little. This leg is still swollen, swells up. I'm using, so I look at. See, it's still swollen. This one swollen a little bit too, and this is still because, I don't know. I'm taking water pills, Lighters goes down in the morning. It's.
Do you have any other effects? Do you have nightmares or dreams about what happened?
No.
Have you ever spoken to any groups about your experiences?
Well, I'm learning Yiddish. Talk a little bit, or not too much. I didn't. Like I said, I told you, if you laugh, people will laugh with you. If you cry, you have to cry by yourself. That's all it's to it. What should I say? It's a nebuch, a grace metzia. No.
What would you say, or what do you say, to those people who say the Holocaust never happened?
Well, I would say they're just crazy. Or they're anti-Semitic. The Semitic is so great, they would like to, maybe they are ashamed or something like it, I don't know. Because how can they say it? The world knows about it, the whole world knows about it. They killed so many people for nothing, and they took people from all over. Look at, just take Romania, They had there so many people. No, it's Satmar, There are approximately 8,000 people. Today is 100 people there. You understand? Where are those people? Warsaw had 3 million people. Where are the people of Warsaw? You understand? It's a thing what you couldn't say no. Or they want to say no. Listen, you are hungry. I said, you are not hungry. Okay, would you believe it? You are hungry, and that's all. It's to it. I said, you are not. Why not? But I'm not hungry, so you are not hungry either. And they said it wasn't there because they want to make. Matter of fact, they had on TV guys like those, and they said, we will kill anybody. They've been so. I don't know, did they grow up in a home like this, or are they crazy himself, or what? Or what can you do? You couldn't keep his mouth shut. It's a free country. You can talk. That's all.
Looking back over the past 50-some years since the war is over, is there any message that you would like to leave for your children and grandchildren?
I don't know, what should I live with? There Kreidor, both of them are very good up. Just Beryl Kreidor, a beautiful home, a beautiful business. He makes very nice money. I don't look in his money around how much he makes. Or he's Kreidor, okay. Yossi has beautiful kids, number 8 will be very soon. So, and everything aside, had a beautiful home. His father-in-law, he bought him a condominium, when he got married. We sold it, he made lots of money on him. Sold by the condominium, and his father-in-law paid the rest of him. And now he has a beautiful home, and what should I say?
Do you have any message that you want to leave to them about your experiences at all?
No, I didn't have nothing. It's not this world, but I was. You know what I mean? You learn every day. They have those big books, Lenin. They tell you stories. It was, you know what I mean? They had oxen and that's all. Today they have cars. Can you compare it? An oxen with the Americans went here to California 4 weeks to 3 months. Today you made it in a couple hours. You understand? With an airplane, you make Europe back and forth in a couple hours. So can you compare it with your experience? But just tell him. It's nothing you can tell, you know what I mean? And besides, they're smarter than I am. They're today higher education. I have experience, they have education. You know what I mean? I had experience in Europe. You ask me, I did many things when I was a kid, like I was alone. And thanks God, God guided me, and everything I did was a blessing. You understand? I did many things, but I couldn't tell them that do, you know, or I know I can tell stories, but I did. It wasn't right, and it happened to end right. You know what I mean? At the end is right, is everything right, and that's all.
Is there anything I forgot to ask you or anything else you'd like to add?
I don't know, that's all I can tell you. I suffered a little bit the first couple of years. It was hard. Zelda never helped me to the work. Or I had to go early in the morning and shopping and worked. Matter of fact, I was open till 8, 9 o'clock, and then I forgot to buy milk. Oh, I didn't have no milk, and you close already up. What's the matter with you? Says, who's paying for the light, for everything? She gives in a bottle of milk. I made 2 cents on it. So that's the way it is. What else can I say? Then later on they come, oh, fix my teeth. It says, it's cost us something. Make it cheaper. So I didn't have a grocery store. I have teeth. You want it? Take it. Wouldn't want it. Well, matter of fact, I had customers. They, you know, I remember I used to sell, you know, bottles of pop. And they had a company that used to give me a bonus to sell their pop. So the bonus I made a little cheaper too. Why do you make this cheaper? It says, because I got a bonus from the people. No, they put it on the scale. The other one was, I have an ounce more. Oh, no, look at you cheating. So I said, you don't like it? Take another store, goodbye. I couldn't take those. You know what I mean? The world is a different story today than it was then.
Well, I thank you very, very much
So that's all,
for
huh?
giving your testimony to
Okay,
the Shoah
it's
Foundation.
okay. All right, it's okay.
And we're going to do the pictures in a
All
minute.
right, all right. You want to know if have something more?
You have something more to say?
Well, if you
If
want
you
to.
do, go ahead.
Ask questions. I myself, I didn't have no stories. You ask me and I'll tell you.
Do
Ask
you
me
have
no.
anything else more to say? You
Yeah.
say it.
Well, like I said, all I can say, my God helped me all my way. You know, as a soldier, I got liberated many times. It wasn't my smartness. I did boo-boo things, and I passed through it. It's become good, you know. Same thing. I went and I didn't eat, never drive. And God helped me. I survived, and it was good. And even as a soldier, and later on, and working brigade, even all over where I went, somebody looked up at me and helped me. And that's all I can tell you. And even today, God helps me, and thanks God. That's all. Should I say something else?
That's beautiful.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
you're very welcome. Okay, you want to take some pictures too?
Yes, just one
Okay.
second.
Okay.
Can you tell me who's in this picture, please?
This is Zelda's father and her mother. His name is Beryl Stover, and his mother's name is Bathsheba.
And that's
That's Zelda's mother, Beryl's grandfather,
and Zelda is sitting on.
and with a baby there.
Is that Zelda?
It must be Zelda because she was the first born. I don't know if she was the first or the second. Anyway, yes, this must be Zelda, yes. Oh, I never see those pictures. Go ahead. Can you make it a little larger?
And that was
Oh, boy,
in
yes.
about the
That
early
must be
1900s.
in the First World War. Those pictures was in the First World War. Look at that. Oh boy, oh boy. Yes,
Okay.
this must be Zelda, yes. Zelda, it's a girl, huh?
Uh-huh.
So that must be Zelda, because she had more sisters, you know. Okay, let me see. It's 50 years ago, you know. It's not happened yesterday.
When was this picture taken?
This was taken, and I told you, in February 17, approximately. And the wedding was
What year was that again?
February 17, 1946. 956.
46, I think you told.
46, yeah.
46, yeah, 1946, correct? After the war?
Yes, 1946.
And
yes.
where was this taken?
In Bergen, Belgium.
And who's in the picture, please?
Well, this must be Sroor Zalmanovich.
On the
And
left?
me, I am there. Yes, and those people I remember are, I couldn't remember the names. I'm sorry. I couldn't give you any more names, but I,
Which one is you?
here the second on the left side, on this side. That's me.
Okay. And this picture?
In this picture is me there in the front with a bicycle. And the rest of them is the guys around Bergen, Belgium. It was some demonstration, but it was really, I don't remember. It was a long time ago. It must have been 47. Because when I made this, I was already established, you know.
Okay.
Anything else you want to know? Can you make it a little larger?
This one? You want to tell what this one is, please?
This one. This is me on the left side and Zelda on the right side.
What year did you say this was?
Must be 47, approximately 47, to make more or less in August something like it. That was before Beryl was born.
Okay. Who's in this picture?
This is on the left side. It's me, and the next one is Beryl and Zelda, and the next one is Mendel Glick. You know, and that wasn't in 47. This must be in 48, because he was already a big boy. You know.
And where was this taken?
In Bergen, Belgium. This was taken in Bergen, Belgium, this picture. But Beryl was born in Celle. There was the hospital.
Okay. Okay, and this picture?
This picture is Zelda, this is in the left side, and I'm the right side. And that must be an end of 47 or in the beginning 48. And this is Beryl in the middle. He was a little baby.
And again, where was this taken?
This was taken in Bergen, Belgium too.
Okay.
It's Beryl, now I can see it.
Whose picture is this?
This is Beryl Tesler.
At what occasion was this?
Well, that's his bar mitzvah, Shabbos. It must be taken Sunday or before that or there. So
And he was 13, so he was...
13
what
years
year?
old, yes. In 19, he gave me a break.
1960? He was born in...
In
47?
yes, 1960, yes, exactly. 1960, yes.
And this picture?
This picture is Yossi Tesler. He was born in 1953. And this was 1966. The picture was taken 1966.
At what occasion was that?
Well, the bar mitzvah. He was bar mitzvah that Shabbos.
Okay.
Left to right is Zelda,
Left to right, okay.
and
Zelda.
then me, and then what's his name? It was he was a barber. I don't remember his name, and I think that's her husband. Not Rivka is not. It's just he's too tall for Yosef.
Are these survivors that you know?
Yes, this is survivor. Well, it's only Rivka, and the other one is a survivor. What is it? I couldn't remind.
And what year about was this taken?
This taken was here in the United States approximately, let's say, after we've been here, come 49, 50, 53 or 53 approximately, 52 or 52, something like it,
Okay.
more 52.
Okay.
The right one is me, and the left one is Paula. That was taken in, I told you, in 78. Hanukkah 78, I didn't know, but must be in September, October,
Hanukkah
December.
78. after-
December, in March, more or less, Hanukkah.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is his father and his stepmother. She passed away never soon. He passed away too. This Hanukkah, you can see, he lights the Hanukkah candles.
And
Can you
tell
see
me-
it? Yes.
Excuse me, tell me Paula's father's name.
Father is Mayor Jonas. Mayor Jonas.
And Paula's in the middle.
The
you
middle,
said?
the middle name was, I forget, Paula.
No, Paula was in the middle,
No. The middle is Paula. Yes, and the
and then her stepmother, what was her name?
stepmother. His name was other guy's the dad, Steve Mama.
And who were these in this
The
picture?
left one is Beryl Tesler, and the right one is Yossi Tesler. Yes, it was 96.
And what occasion was
It
that?
was a mitzvah, Yossi's bar mitzvah. And Yossi's son, Yaakov Shimon, that's his name. That was bar mitzvah, and he come to the bar mitzvah.
Okay. And this one? Okay.
Ready? The first is Esti, her mother, and then is the next on top, Basheva. The lower place is Meir, by Poland, and Paula is holding her.
That is in the middle?
The first, yes, no, not in the middle. The first is Esti again. Esti is the mother. After Esti on top, I'll go straight on top. After Esti is Basheva. After Basheva is Dobby with the red hair. That's her daughter. And then is Zeldi. And the Speter there. And then is Yaakov Shimon. This is
It was his
the
bar
Bar Mitzvah,
mitzvah?
yes. And then is Yossi. Okay, that's the top one. The lower one is Meir. He is already 3 years, looks like it, because his hair doesn't have hair. And then next is Paula. And after Paula is me. And after me, and I keep, this is Ruchi,
In front of you?
yes. And then after Ruchi is Chumme Gitlu. That's what her name. That's the number
And when
seven.
was this taken?
This was taken, I think, last year when we've been there, remember? And I don't know what the occasion was, or I don't remember the occasion. Last year.
Okay.
And 90s is not, today is 7. It was all 6 too.
1996.
Yeah, I don't remember the month exactly.
Okay.
Where it was do.
Okay, wait
The
just a second.
Berlin, where it was.
And this picture. And who's in this picture? Mr. Tesler, tell who's in this one.
And which one? In this one?
Yes.
Tell you already. First is me, then is on top is David, then is Shana, and it's Beryl, and it's Rivka's husband, Stein. And below is Paula and Maureen and Rivka and the 2 babies.
And did you say, who's on the right, the far right?
Far right is Stein.
No, the woman
Rivka's-
sitting down.
To what?
Is Rivka?
Rivka, yes, it's Maro. They call it Marabet. Marabet. Her name is Leah, Rivka Leah.
Okay. And what occasion was this taken?
This was taken, I think, when the babies, we've been in Chicago. We've been in Chicago. This in Chicago, she do this gemaakt worden.
I
She
think
was
that-
here, no, she was here with the babies. We made it here. She was here for a couple months ago. The babies were little and we made it then.
About spring of 1997. About,
That's right, that's right.
Okay.